Chapter 121. I'm his ex-girlfriend. These past few days, besides chatting with Lin Wanbai, Qin Ran had been busy working on his project proposal. Li Huachuan was as efficient as ever, providing him with a wealth of industry information within a couple of days, including several internal documents from Porsche Tai. As he had anticipated, Porsche Tai, despite its current popularity, was already on a downward trend. However, on the surface, their performance still looked impressive. Their market share was quite significant in terms of growth and revenue. Although there were many people mocking them, it wasn't entirely a bad thing. If a brand was never mentioned, then that was truly tragic. Lack of discussion meant they were not far from bankruptcy. In fact, many automobile brands shared the same fate. As time passed, they slowly faded from the historical stage. Some were even industry giants, but still couldn't escape the ravages of time. Qin Ran greatly admired companies that had been in business for a century. Regardless of brand value, the fact that they had managed to survive for so long meant they had already beaten countless companies. New companies faced a major hurdle every 3 years and a significant challenge every 5. Surviving 5 years was already a remarkable achievement, putting them above half their competitors. Many companies didn't even last a year. Some would run away with customer funds, while others would abscond with their partners' money. Qin Ran's decision to enter the automotive industry wasn't a whim, but rather a carefully considered plan. However, he wanted to be fully prepared first. He planned to discuss it with his family this weekend when he returned home. The head of the Qin group was his father, Qin Yushan, and Qin Ran was confident he would agree to invest. The project proposal he was creating was primarily to persuade the other board members. The subsequent investment amounts were extraordinarily high, possibly reaching tens or even hundreds of billions, which was not child's play. Moreover, there would be no return in the early stages. Profits would only materialize after raising capital, or when the cars were manufactured. But Qin Ran was confident. He believed he could make it work. Unlike Liu Ruyuan, he had a thorough understanding of the industry and knew where the future trends were heading. Most importantly, he had his family as a backup. The Liu family sounded prestigious, but it was just a family with the surname Liu. It was neither a top 500 private company nor a multinational giant. In Zhonghai, there was only one Qin family, while families surnamed Liu were a dime a dozen. Unfortunately, Liu Ruyuan hadn't realized this. Qin Ran wasn't going to correct her. In their previous life, he would have gone to great lengths to prevent Liu Ruyuan from encountering setbacks. He'd solve any problems for her in advance. This led to Liu Ruyuan developing an arrogant and conceited attitude, believing that everything was easy. In reality, without his paving the way and secretly helping her, Liu Ruyuan would have even had trouble living independently. Some people wouldn't learn their lesson until they hit a brick wall. They needed to face some hardships to realize they weren't as exceptional as they thought. Life was the best teacher. It would teach Liu Ruyuan, and Qin Ran's teacher had been love. He now understood that love was the cure for life, not a cage that held it captive. He had been trapped by Liu Ruyuan in his previous life, but now he had finally broken free. He shouldn't fall back into that cage, but rather go out into the world and make his mark. Qin Ran wasn't aware of the changes in Liu Ruyuan's mindset. She had been fluctuating these past few days. Thankfully, Liu Ruyuan hadn't been driving behind them like last time. This time, it was just him and Lin Wanbai. No one else. But when they arrived at the mall, Qin Ran bumped into Li Luo. "Hey, Junior, what a coincidence," Li Luo said with a smile. "Hello, Senior," he replied. "Is this your girlfriend?" Li Luo greeted Lin Wanbai. "Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Qin Ran's ex-girlfriend." Qin Ran's face darkened. I'm kidding, huh?" Lin Wanbai smiled gently. "I know you, Senior Li." "Oh," Li Luo said surprised. "Have we met before? If I'd met a beauty as stunning as you, I'd definitely remember." Qin Ran felt like Li Luo had the communication style of a guy. Perhaps, with her charismatic personality, she was attractive to both men and women. With her angelic face, devilish figure, and natural, easygoing demeanor, many younger students were pursuing her. Qin Ran occasionally heard people talking about Li Luo on campus. The fall sports meet was just around the corner. Li Luo was not only the student council president, but also the captain of the cheerleading squad. The cheerleading squad was sure to be a highlight at the sports meet, with Li Luo undoubtedly in the center. Many guys even went to the dance studio to watch their rehearsals. Even Huang Zujie from their dorm had been invited by guys from the dorm next door. When Yonglong was exercising, and Qin Ran wasn't interested. Only the repressed Fu Qingchuan was tempted. As the saying goes, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. But since Fu Qingchuan hadn't even managed to secure a domestic flower, he had to restrain himself and only browse the rehearsal photos uploaded on the forums. If Huang Zujia had gone, he might have fallen for Li Luo. At first sight, Li Luo was like the upgraded version of Chen Shuwan. Chen Shuwan was more of a bro type of girlfriend, while Li Luo was more of a wild one. But Qin Ran had always felt that Li Luo's mental state was a bit off. Just like how Lin Wanbai had previously thought he was sick, so Qin Ran had always kept a respectful distance from Li Luo. Apart from working together to deal with Jibuqing, Qin Ran didn't normally chat with Li Luo. Li Luo's joking greeting just confirmed Qin Ran's suspicion. She was really not normal. What kind of girl would introduce herself as her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend upon meeting someone? At least, it was a first for Qin Ran. He didn't want his date to be ruined, so he said, "Senior, we're going to grab something to eat now. Maybe we can chat next time?" "I haven't eaten either. Do you mind a third wheel?" Li Luo laughed. "Just kidding. I won't bother you too. See you later, Junior." "Bye, Junior lady." Li Luo then walked away with a flourish. Qin Ran's lips twitched. He had to explain that Senior likes to joke around. "I'm not actually close to her. We don't even chat often." But after saying that, Qin Ran regretted it. It was like trying to deny something that wasn't even true. This type of thing was destined to get worse the more you tried to explain. But Lin Wanbai believed him. "I believe you. Let's go eat." Qin Ran broke into a relieved smile. If it had been Liu Ruyuan, this would not have been so easily dismissed. She would definitely have interrogated him relentlessly, and most likely would have started an argument with Li Luo. Qin Ran could picture the scene. Looking back, Qin Ran realized that in this particular aspect, he hadn't received Liu Ruyuan's full trust. Mutual trust was the cornerstone of a relationship. Without trust, suspicion and paranoia would inevitably lead to conflict. Qin Ran could see the trust in Lin Wanbai's eyes. Not just lip service, she genuinely believed him. The feeling of being trusted was wonderful. Chapter 122. Pity. The nice guy comes after the dog. Just as Qin Ran and Lin Wanbai were seated, Li Luo's surprised voice rang out beside them. "Oh, what a coincidence. You guys are eating here too." Seeing Qin Ran looking at her, Li Luo spread her hands and said, "I swear, I didn't follow you. I was here first." This was the first time Qin Ran had heard a girl use the word follow, Wei Thoi, and it felt strange. But he had already chosen this restaurant, and wasn't going to change just because of that. Luo, are these your friends?" A young man in a suit stood up with a smile. "How about we eat together?" "My treat." Qin Ran was about to decline, when he saw a look of pleading on Li Luo's face. But he knew how cunning Li Luo was. She feared nothing. So was it possible she was afraid of a young man? Seeing this, Li Luo immediately went to Lin Wanbai and whispered a few things. Lin Wanbai nodded slightly, agreeing. So the four of them switched to a slightly larger table. Li Luo sat right next to Lin Wanbai. The man in the suit introduced himself. "I'm Li Xiu. It's nice to meet you." Qin Ran. Li Xiu glanced at the gentle and cool Lin Wanbai, but she didn't seem inclined to speak. It wasn't that Lin Wanbai was too cold to even reveal her name. Instead, Li Luo was busy whispering to her. Li Xiu didn't stare at Lin Wanbai for long, turning his attention to Qin Ran. "Are you all Luo's classmates?" "We're schoolmates. She's several years our senior." As soon as Qin Ran finished speaking, he felt a kick to his shin. Turning to Li Luo, he was greeted with a grin. Qin Ran was speechless. Was he not telling the truth? Moreover, they were all around 20 years old. In the prime of youth, was it really necessary to be so sensitive about age? That pitiful expression from earlier had definitely been an act. But Qin Ran was a little curious about Li Xiu and Li Luo's relationship. The affectionate name, Luo, didn't sound like that of ordinary friends. Qin Ran had previously mocked Li Luo's online name, Miss Luo, not expecting that her nickname would actually be Luo. Li Xiu was far from introverted. He was very talkative, and actively started talking about his relationship with Li Luo. They grew up together, their families knew each other. In short, they were childhood sweethearts. Qin Ran had a fairly good impression of Li Xiu. He was polite and well-spoken. But he had no idea that Li Xiu was a painter. Qin Ran recalled, "Didn't you study in the States and also have a solo exhibition?" "Yes," Li Xiu said, surprised. "You know about that too?" "I'm honored." Qin Ran didn't know Li Xiu personally, but he had heard the latter's name before. Li Xiu was a young, up-and-coming painter who had held several exhibitions in Zhonghai after returning home and was becoming quite well known. Li Xiu seemed to have found a kindred spirit, growing more familiar and close to Qin Ran, calling him Brother Qin, and even ignoring Li Luo. After the food arrived, Li Xiu raised his cup. "Come, let me propose a toast to Brother Qin." Li Luo muttered, "Not to us?" "Together, together," Li Xiu said with a smile. The four clinked glasses and took a small sip. Li Xiu, who had wanted to order red wine, drank orange juice along with the rest. Midway through the meal, Li Luo and Lin Wanbai went to the bathroom hand in hand. Qin Ran was amazed at how peculiar girls' friendships were. They seemed to be able to go from strangers to close friends who were comfortable sharing secrets in the blink of an eye. Li Xiu, who was quite the social butterfly, got along well with those he clicked with. He also started to talk about his story with Li Luo. They were truly childhood sweethearts. Moreover, Li Xiu was in love with Li Luo. He initially didn't want to go abroad, but Li Luo told him that he should pursue his dreams. That was 5 years ago. He had just returned home yesterday and immediately contacted Li Luo. But after seeing each other again, he realized that some things had changed without him even realizing. It wasn't that they had become strangers, but they weren't as close as they used to be. There was an invisible boundary between them. Like childhood friends, they were slowly becoming distant memories of the past, only leaving behind fading figures. Li Xiu had always loved Li Luo and was waiting for the right time to confess. He had held on to this through all those years abroad. Now, he felt like he had achieved something and returned home, only to realize that the most important thing in his heart had been lost. The most cliché of all was that Li Luo only saw him as a brother. Qin Ran couldn't help but feel sorry for him after listening to him. Poor kid. Why did he have to fall for Li Luo of all people? Qin Ran guessed that Li Luo hadn't fallen for someone else. She simply saw Li Xiu as just a brother. When Li Xiu confessed, Li Luo explained the situation and subconsciously roped Qin Ran into having dinner with them, if anything to avoid an awkward situation. Originally, Qin Ran thought it was strange that Li Luo, with her personality, wouldn't go on a blind date. She wouldn't even do it to appease her family. But if it was her childhood sweetheart, that would make sense. It was just unfortunate that the suitor was passionate, while the maiden was indifferent. Li Xiu was just like the handsome second lead in a soap opera, a multi-talented youth and the standard nice guy. But he was destined not to win the heart of the heroine, or even get together with any of the secondary characters. Unrequited love was his tragic ending. Qin Ran thought that Li Xiu was a decent person, and if he just changed his target, he should have no problem finding someone. After all, in the eyes of most girls, Li Xiu was a perfect match. Handsome, with a decent family background, good temperament, and most importantly, a non-playboy painter. But love was just so unreasonable. Love is love, and if there is no love, then there is no love. Qin Ran patted Li Xiu on the shoulder, expressing his sympathy and offering his blessings. "Are you two drunk?" Li Xiu straightened his back and shook his head. "We didn't drink." That was not the right answer. Qin Ran could tell from Li Luo's expression why Li Xiu was only a brother. "Buddy, if you want to be in a relationship, just being nice isn't enough. In this day and age, a nice guy falls behind a dog." Qin Ran wasn't a philandering scoundrel. In fact, he was more dedicated than most people. But he wasn't a nice guy, and definitely not a central air conditioner. He had simply poured all his love into Liu Ruyuan. Qin Ran saw a bit of himself in Li Xiu. Both of them loved someone wholeheartedly. The only difference was that at least Qin Ran had been reciprocated, while Li Xiu was most likely doomed never to have his feelings returned. Qin Ran didn't use his experience as a veteran to advise Li Xiu to let go. This was something that couldn't be advised. It wouldn't work even if he did. Unless Li Xiu met another woman in his life, or something drastic happened that changed his personality, Li Xiu would continue to hover around Li Luo, hoping for love. After dinner, when Li Xiu learned that Qin Ran and Lin Wanbai were going to the movies, he said with some hesitation, "Would you mind if we joined you?" There was a hint of yearning and pleading in Li Xiu's eyes. Qin Ran sighed softly and asked Lin Wanbai for her opinion. And so the date for two turned into a gathering of four. Li Luo even hijacked Lin Wanbai. Li Xiu felt very apologetic and said that if Qin Ran liked to go to art exhibitions, he would give him some free tickets later, inviting Qin Ran and Lin Wanbai to visit. It was like he was making up for their date being spoiled. Qin Ran accepted Li Xiu's offer. Watching the exhibition was secondary. He could use it as an excuse to have another date with Lin Wanbai. Chapter 123. The Strange Nature of Girls' Feelings. Actually, from the way Li Luo hijacked Qin Ran's seat, it was clear that Li Luo didn't have any romantic feelings for Li Xiu. The fact that she had agreed to have dinner with Li Xiu was simply due to the bond they had formed from growing up together. But the moment Li Xiu made his confession, the relationship changed. There were only two outcomes of a confession: success or failure. Usually the latter was more likely. Actually, Li Xiu shouldn't have rushed to confess after coming back home. After being separated for so many years, even the closest relationships would inevitably feel a little strained. The best course of action would have been to get reacquainted and rediscover the old connection. After their feelings had warmed up, he could have chosen an appropriate time to confess. But Qin Ran could understand. Li Xiu, after being away for so many years, his heart was tied to his childhood sweetheart. When he returned home, it was natural that he wanted to immediately get together and make their relationship work. But he forgot that time changes everything, and people change, too. The worst part was not that Li Luo's feelings had changed. It was that Li Luo had always seen Li Xiu only as a brother. If that was the case, then whether he confessed early or late, the result would be the same: failure. If Li Xiu could accept it sooner, it would be a good thing. But for now, it didn't look like Li Xiu could accept it. It was very likely that he would be heartbroken for quite some time. As for whether another woman would come into his life and pull him out of his sorrow, Qin Ran had no idea. Although he had a decent impression of Li Xiu, when it came to feelings, there was no forcing it. It wasn't like there hadn't been people who had advised him to leave Liu Ruyuan earlier. He had so much going for him, and he could have found a better girl without her. But at the time, in his eyes, Liu Ruyuan was the best, period. Back then, his dedication wasn't any less than Li Xiu's. Sometimes, love blinds a person. Only when the person had an epiphany would the blindfold come off. Otherwise, even if others try to help, they would just pretend they didn't see it. Qin Ran was a veteran of this situation, but he didn't feel any satisfaction. At most, he could say he had no regrets. Being able to love someone wholeheartedly was also a form of happiness. But he wouldn't do it again. Whether or not he had an epiphany was up to Li Xiu. The sooner he realized that the world was bigger than just Li Luo, the sooner he would be able to find love. After the movie, Li Xiu offered to take Li Luo home. He didn't want to interrupt Qin Ran and Lin Wanbai's date anymore. But it was already late, and Qin Ran and Lin Wanbai hadn't reached the point of going to a hotel yet. So they decided to get a ride from Li Xiu back to campus. Li Xiu didn't refuse, and was actually delighted. Otherwise, with Li Luo's personality, she might have just taken a taxi home instead of letting him take her. Since his confession had failed, the two of them couldn't interact as they had before. The heartbroken Li Xiu had become increasingly cautious. He had even become a little submissive. Qin Ran had noticed it all, and it even felt like he was looking in a mirror. Had he been just like Li Xiu before? No, there was still a difference. Qin Ran consoled himself a few times, but his heart still ached a little. After they arrived at the school gate, Li Xiu said goodbye and left. Li Luo seemed noticeably relieved. Thank goodness you guys were there today, otherwise it would have been so awkward. You really don't have any romantic feelings for him at all? What? Li Luo glared at Qin Ran fiercely. You trying to set me up with him? No, I'm just asking. Sometimes people can't see their own feelings clearly. Oh, you're an expert now. Our junior is actually an expert in relationships. Qin Ran rubbed his nose. That was a little bit sarcastic. But he knew Li Luo didn't mean any harm. She was just stating that she didn't have any love for Li Xiu. So Qin Ran didn't try to persuade her anymore. But one sentence from Li Luo made him, who was usually well-mannered, want to kick her. Wanbai, you have to be careful. Maybe one day Qin Ran will realize he doesn't just have one love. Can you stop spouting nonsense? From now on, I won't bring up anything related to you and Li Xiu. Tisk, TSK. Look at him, Wanbai. He's clearly feeling guilty. Guilty, my foot. Wow. He even swore. That's so obvious. Li Luo made an exaggerated expression, which made Qin Ran laugh. Fine. I'm not going to stoop to your level. The fact that you didn't say yes wasn't necessarily a bad thing for Li Xiu. What do you mean? Li Luo said fiercely. You mean I'm not good enough? Lin Wanbai said helplessly. You guys stop arguing. The dorms will be closed soon. Our Wanbai is the best. Qin Ran stared speechlessly as Li Luo hooked arms with Lin Wanbai and left. When had it become our? But Qin Ran was surprised that Lin Wanbai could actually get along with Li Luo. In his impression, Lin Wanbai was the well-behaved type of girl. Were girls also going for complementary personalities? Seeing the two walking away, Ran didn't think too much about it. He quickly followed them. Tonight's date was successful. Although a minor incident had occurred, it had indirectly strengthened his relationship with Lin Wanbai. The love of a mutual crush was a rare find. When you are lucky enough to find someone you liked, you should hold on to them. You should also cherish the present. Otherwise, when the opportunity has passed, even if they are the right person, you will only end up with regret. The saying that the right person meets at the wrong time isn't actually right. The right person would be right, no matter when you meet them. If they didn't meet during their youth, could they really wait until they are old to develop feelings? After returning to his dorm, Ran sent a message to Lin Wanbai. I'm back. I'm back too. That senior talks a lot. Ran smiled when he saw the message. He wanted to take a screenshot and send it to Li Luo. Her expression would have been very interesting. But Li Luo was thick-skinned, and who knew what she would say? In the end, Ran decided against sending it to her. Having dinner together and watching the same movie didn't mean that his relationship with Li Luo had improved. He would still keep his distance, just like he had said before. The more he interacted with her, the more he realized how not normal she was. She would say outrageous things from time to time, and they were easily misunderstood. If it was someone other than Lin Wanbai, they might not misunderstand, but there would still be a knot in their heart. Ran was determined to reduce, and preferably avoid, any similar situations from happening. Otherwise, if it happened too many times, Lin Wanbai, who was a little naive, might actually believe it. Ran mentioned going to Li Xiu's art exhibition together next time to Lin Wanbai. He had planned it as a date for two, but he didn't expect Lin Wanbai to propose that Li Luo should go with them. Ran was very surprised. Could it be that their friendship had really gotten that much better over one night? Or did Lin Wanbai awaken her inner matchmaker and want to set up Li Luo with Li Xiu? Ran didn't know what Lin Wanbai was thinking, but since she had already said it, it wouldn't hurt if they went together. When the time came, the talkative Li Xiu would likely stick to Li Luo and not always follow them around. That way, he and Lin Wanbai would have more time alone together. If he looked at it from another angle, it wasn't too bad either. Chapter 124. A Tangled Web of Relationships. Fu Qingchuan didn't return to the dorm until almost curfew. Ran had thought that he would be starting a new life tonight, but he was back after all. Ugh, Fu Qingchuan sighed, but no one paid him any attention. Godfather, I failed. The three of them all looked at Fu Qingchuan. What happened? Spill the tea. Did you get dumped? Fu Qingchuan turned his face to show everyone. What? Do you have a pimple on your face? Huang Zujie said with a weird laugh. I wasn't planning on coming back tonight, but all I got was a kiss, Fu Qingchuan said with a lecherous laugh. Show off. Tease. I thought you'd done something big, honestly. Fu Qingchuan walked to Ran's bed. Godfather, did nothing happen with you two tonight either? No smooching? Smooching what? I mean a kiss. Did you kiss? Ran was too lazy to respond to Fu Qingchuan, who was deliberately showing off, and he turned over. Looks like I've surpassed my master. It's my turn to sit in the Godfather's position. Next time, I won't help you set up a date. Godfather. Your child was wrong, Fu Qingchuan immediately said. I still hope Godfather can help your child set up another playdate with Shinner someday. Set it up yourself. Godfather. Didn't you two already kiss? It shouldn't be that hard to set up another date, right? Fu Qingchuan said a little embarrassed. I used Yanghua's moves to trick her. Ajahn, are you serious? So this Yanghua wasn't that Yanghua. Ran chuckled. Tong Xian didn't beat you up? No, I ran fast. Amazing. Ran gave him a thumbs up. Bro, I mean Godfather, I just sent her a message and she didn't reply. Is she mad at me? Possibly. Ah. Fu Qingchuan was full of regret. I shouldn't have lied to her about the UFO. You don't need to worry too much. Buy her breakfast tomorrow and say a few sweet words, that should do it. She'll forgive me? If I'd known, I'd have kissed her cherry lips instead. Huang Zujie couldn't help but say, Ran, stop helping him. This guy has no shame. You can only get girls if you have no shame. You don't understand. To put a brazen statement in such a dignified way, you're also impressive. Compared to Godfather, I'm still a bit lacking. Ran was speechless. I didn't do anything, don't talk nonsense. Liu Fei, Fu Qingchuan said one word at a time, with a punchable smile. Why are they still spreading rumors about me and her? Hee. I heard Liu Yufei had another fight with Liu Ruyuan today. Really? It should be true. Several girls in class saw it. It has nothing to do with me. Do you believe that? If Liu Ruyuan was involved, it was almost certainly related to Qin Ran. But Qin Ran didn't want to have anything to do with Liu Ruyuan anymore. Just don't spread it. The three of them looked at each other. Fu Qingchuan couldn't help but ask, Qin Ran, do you really hate Liu Ruyuan that much? It's not hate, it's just that I don't like her. Isn't not liking the same as hating? It's different. Anyway, don't spread anything about me and them, and don't worry about it. So spreading about you and Lin Wanbai is okay then? Huang Zujie chimed in, yeah. Qin Ran, you might as well just get together with Lin Wanbai directly, that way there won't be any scandals. That's not certain. Qin Ran might not spread anything, but others might anyway, right? Qin Ran. Forget it. These are all messy things, not worth talking about. The few of them didn't say much more. They could all tell that Qin Ran genuinely disliked Liu Ruyuan, and that he didn't have any ambiguous feelings for Liu Yufei either. Huang Zujie was very envious. He wanted to spread gossip, but didn't have any to spread. Even Qin Shuwen, whom he had been a little interested in before, others thought of them just as friends. At most, they were like buddies, and definitely not a couple. There was no romantic spark. Huang Zujie borrowed a dumbbell from Wen Yonglong. Along, teach me how to get a godlike waist and 8-pack abs. I refuse to believe that a good body won't attract girls. Fu Qingchuan chuckled. Moderate exercise attracts the opposite sex. Excessive exercise attracts the same sex. You've already been attracted to Along. Get lost, get lost. I'm serious. When Yonglong handed another dumbbell to Fu Qingchuan and casually felt Fu Qingchuan's stomach. You can only get 6 abs at most. That's something you're born with. You can't get 8-pack. Ha 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 ha. Fu Qingchuan laughed uncontrollably. I'm dying of laughter. Or why don't you buy a muscle suit? I'm not going to work out anymore. I give up. The girls' dorm. Room 309. With a flushed face, Tong Xian had just finished answering Li Xiaoke's interrogation. They were only freshmen, just graduated from high school, so they naturally yearned for passionate college love. The only couple in their dorm that was actually a couple was Tong Xian and Fu Qingchuan. Lin Wanbai was a maybe, but she was a slow burner. Compared to them, it was still more interesting to tease Tong Xian. Tong Xian volunteered all her answers, saying that she would give details about the taste and process after their next kiss. As for more intimate details, Li Xiaoke was too embarrassed to ask. Tong Xian had been the one to arrange the movie date tonight. It was both her date with Fu Qingchuan and also to create an opportunity for a date for Lin Wanbai and Qin Ran. Tong Xian cared more about the other couple's progress than her own. Wanbai, how was your date with Qin Ran tonight? It was okay. Li Xiaoke teased, Io, you didn't deny it was a date. Are you two together yet? Tong Xian waved her hand, indicating that she had to ask the questions first. So when you were watching the movie, did Qin Ran confess to you? No. Did he hold your hand? No. So you just watched the movie and didn't talk? He was sitting behind me. I was sitting with Senior. The three of them were stunned. Tong Xian's brain was about to fry. Wait, you didn't watch the movie with Qin Ran? Senior? Which Senior? Why were you sitting with her instead of Qin Ran? In response to Tong Xian's barrage of questions, Lin Wanbai answered one by one. When Qin Ran and I arrived at the mall, we bumped into a Senior, so we had dinner together. Then we watched the movie together. The three of you? The Senior had a friend with her too. This? Tong Xian's brain couldn't comprehend it for a moment. It took her a long time to finally understand. Then why weren't you sitting together with Qin Ran? You're so dumb. Li Xiaoke said. The Senior must not have liked that guy. Then who did she like? The Senior said that she didn't like Qin Ran either. Lin Wanbai said again, as if talking to herself. Tong Xian and Li Xiaoke exchanged glances and had a bad feeling about this. Wanbai, you're so naive. That's right, regardless of whether or not that Senior liked Qin Ran, you shouldn't have separated from him. Yes, you need to assert your ownership. Lin Wanbai tilted her head. Why? Qin Ran and I are together. Wanbai, you've finally understood things. Chapter 125. Letting Go and Doing It. Parents' Love. The next day, Qin Ran went to the Qin Group headquarters. He had finished his project proposal. This wasn't a minor matter, and it required him to formally report it to and discuss it with Qin Yushan. Not many people knew of Qin Ran's status as the heir, but the majority of the top executives recognized him. Yindi Hai was very surprised to see Qin Ran at the company. Little Ran, What brings you here? Uncle Yin. I came to talk to President Qin about something. He should be in his office. I'll take you there. It's fine, Uncle Yin. You go on. I know the way. Okay, stay for lunch. It's rare that you come. You have to try our new chef's cooking. Okay, I'll go ahead then. A business manager below asked curiously, President Yin, who was that young man? Are you done with your work? No, I actually have something I want to report to you. Go to my office then. Yin Dihai looked back at Qin Ran's retreating figure. He was certain that Qin Ran had come about something important. If not, Qin Ran would never come to headquarters. Over the years, Qin Ran had only appeared at the company a handful of times. Yin Dihai couldn't help but recall the last time. Regarding the acquisition of Saley Photovoltaic, the Qin Group was originally planning to acquire it after completing due diligence. But later, Qin Ran had raised an objection, and after reassessment, they ultimately canceled the acquisition. For now, it's not clear whether or not acquiring them was a good thing or a bad thing. But according to information they had gathered, there were indeed signs of Europe resisting domestic photovoltaic products. Yin Dihai was curious about what Qin Ran was really here for. Qin Ran didn't tell Yin Dihai because he wanted to discuss it with Qin Yushan first. The real decision-maker for the Qin Group was Qin Yushan, not anyone else. Of course, major matters would be discussed by the board of directors. However, Qin Yushan had the power to veto anything, and this was clearly stated in the company's charter. Moreover, once Qin Yushan made a decision, the majority of the board members would agree. So Qin Ran preferred to discuss it with Qin Yushan. After all, they were family, a father and son. After reading the proposal, Qin Yushan placed it aside. Why do you suddenly want to enter the automotive industry? The automotive market is vast, and new energy vehicles are the future trend. The current environment in the country is not so good, and there are deficiencies in electric vehicle technology. However, Tesla has seen rapid growth in the past 2 years. That's why we should enter the market early. Car manufacturing isn't that easy. Your proposal is feasible, but you should think about the technology part again. I know, I'll refine it. It's fine. You can start by conducting a field study at the car factory. As for the acquisition, I'll send a team to negotiate for you. Okay, I'll go there next week. Since you're doing it, then do it well. Go ahead and do it. Qin Yushan didn't refuse. On the contrary, he was very supportive of Qin Ran. This was a father's trust in his son. Even if he might fail, it was okay. If you're afraid of failure, you'll never succeed. In reality, Qin Yushan had considered entering the automotive industry before, but there was already an automotive giant in Zhonghai. It wouldn't be easy to get involved, and it would require a significant cost. At the time, Qin Yushan had given it careful consideration and ultimately gave up. Firstly, the barrier to entry in the automotive industry was high, and secondly, the return on investment period was very long. Moreover, the initial investment would be very high. With insufficient working capital, it would easily impact other businesses of the Qin Group. But now the Qin Group no longer had these concerns. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been prepared to spend billions to acquire Saley Photovoltaic. With Qin Yushan's definitive support, Qin Ran could finally feel comfortable moving forward. After discussing business, it was time to discuss family matters. Are you coming back for dinner tonight? Your mother keeps talking about you. Yeah, I'll be back soon. Then I'll have a driver take you. It's fine. By the way, Dad, have you gone for your checkup this week? Didn't I go last time? It's nothing. Just a small problem. Small problems can turn into big problems if they're not taken care of. Dad, if you have time tomorrow, go to the hospital for a checkup. Okay, Qin Yushan said, shaking his head helplessly. I'll go for a checkup tomorrow, okay? Then I'll tell Mom later, and also give President Ng a call beforehand. There's no need to make a big fuss. Just go get some scans, that's all. Then I'll go back now, Dad. Qin Ran bumped into Yin Dihai again when he left. Little Ran, weren't you going to stay for lunch? Where are you going? My mother is urging me to go home. Maybe next time. I'll treat Uncle Yin to a meal. All right, it's rare that you come back. I won't keep you then. Goodbye, Uncle Yin. Qin Ran bid farewell to Yin Dihai and got into his car to go home. He was sure that Yin Dihai would go to Qin Yushan's office by now. But Yin Dihai was an elder of the company, so Qin Yushan wouldn't keep anything from him. When Qin Ran arrived back at the estate, he found Lian Qin tending to the flowers. Mom. Little Ran? Lian Qin said with surprise. Why didn't you tell Mom that you were coming back? Wasn't I trying to give you a surprise? I'll have Zhou Lan make some delicious food for you. It's okay. I'm not a picky eater. Then I'll make you some tonics. It's fine, really, no need. Qin Ran rolled up his sleeves. Is there anything I can do? Then help Mom move this globe amaranth to the side. Okay. Qin Ran helped move the potted plant. I remember that globe amaranth can be used to make tea, right? Yes, I was planning on picking them and drying them soon. Do you want to drink some? Sure, I'll take some to school. Take more with you then, and share them with your classmates and roommates. Okay. By the way, Mom, Dad agreed to go for a checkup tomorrow to see if there are any issues. You're the only one he listens to. I asked him to go for a checkup a few days ago, and he was unhappy about it. It's okay. I'll say it. There shouldn't be anything too serious. That girl that we saw at the hospital last time, Lian Qin asked tentatively. She's just a classmate. We just happened to bump into each other. What was her name? Liu Ruyuan? Yeah, it was her. That girl is quite pretty. Mom, we're just ordinary classmates. It's nothing. Please don't make wild guesses. Mom was just asking. You're not a kid anymore. I'm only a freshman. Qin Ran said, laughing and crying at the same time. Anyway, if there is someone suitable, I'll bring her home for you to see. You need to be careful. There are a lot of gold-digging girls these days. Yeah, I know. Was Liu Ruyuan a gold digger? Qin Ran wasn't sure. But it didn't matter. He wouldn't let Liu Ruyuan enter the Qin family this life. He wouldn't let his parents be humiliated at the engagement banquet again. His parents were the people in this world who unconditionally loved him. As for Liu Ruyuan, she was nothing now. Chapter 126. Too many coincidences are not coincidences. The next day, Qin Ran took his parents to the hospital. He had informed the president of the hospital last night, but it wasn't Ning Xinming who was waiting for them. Instead, it was Liu Haichang. Qin Yushin asked, "Did you tell your classmate?" No. Liu Haichang approached with a beaming smile. "Io, what a coincidence. We meet again, Qin Ran. You brought your parents for a checkup. Again? You're so filial. Unlike my daughter, who only calls once a week to say she's safe and doesn't ask about anything else." Qin Ran turned to his parents. "Mom, why don't you go with Dad for the checkup first? I'll be there in a moment." Last time, Qin Yushan hadn't given Liu Haichang a chance to approach. This time, Qin Ran directly had his parents leave first. Once could be a coincidence, but if it happened twice, then it wasn't. Moreover, today, Liu Haichang was clearly waiting. They're on purpose. Qin Ran had a complicated expression. He could guess what Liu Haichang was thinking. In his previous life, he had almost called Liu Haichang Dad. But the engagement hadn't even happened, so there was naturally no opportunity to have a tea ceremony. At the time, he had helped Liu Haichang's company a lot. He had placed orders with him to the maximum amount of his production capacity. To be honest, it wasn't actually that much money. A small amount of money from the Qin Group could have already supported 10 of Liu Haichang's companies. But over 1 or 2 years, Liu Haichang's personal wealth had increased several times. Qin Ran's impression of Liu Haichang wasn't too bad. At least, whenever he and Liu Ruyuan had any conflict, Liu Haichang would openly take his side. Liu Ruyuan's mother, Liu Qilan, was the opposite. No matter if the situation was right or wrong, she would always side with Liu Ruyuan. Even on the day of the engagement banquet, when she was absent, Liu Qilan thought he should be more understanding of Liu Ruyuan, and it wasn't a big deal. It turns out that when love blinds your eyes, there are many things you can't see clearly. Liu Qilan was selfish, gossipy, and petty. Liu Haichang was obsequious, greedy, and hypocritical. These traits were actually very obvious, and you would see them after interacting with them for some time. But no matter what, the two of them used to be his in-laws, and they hadn't done anything that was detrimental to the Qin Group. Qin Ran had subconsciously ignored all of these things. But now that he had given up on Liu Ruyuan, he naturally didn't have to accommodate Liu Haichang anymore. There was also no need for him to help Liu Haichang expand his business. The coldness of Qin Ran's family made Liu Haichang feel a little lost. He didn't quite understand why Qin Ran's attitude had changed so drastically. Not to mention last year when they celebrated his daughter's birthday at home, Qin Ran had taken the initiative to show his goodwill and called him uncle with each breath. In the past 2 times they had met, Qin Ran had at least taken the initiative to greet him. But this time, not only did he not call him Uncle Liu, he also had his parents leave first. Liu Haichang was a little flustered. Could it be that his intentions had been discovered? Thinking this, Liu Haichang was annoyed at himself for waiting early. He should have acted like he was bumping into them by chance. Like last time. It was all his fault for being too impatient. It looked too deliberate. But at least Qin Ran hadn't left yet, which meant there was still a chance. Liu Haicheng adjusted his mindset and tried to put on the facade of a kind elder. Qin Ran, Rian seems to be unwell recently. Do you know what happened to her at school? I'm not really sure. You two used to be inseparable. Rian always mentions you. We haven't been in contact much recently. You could ask Wang Feifei. He knows more about her than I do. Him? Your uncle doesn't really like him. A man should be like you. Otherwise, how would they be able to protect the girl they like? We are in a society governed by law now. Uncle doesn't need to worry too much. Liu Haicheng felt like Qin Ran's words were pushing his daughter away. He really didn't like Wang Feifei. He was effeminate and didn't look like he had any future prospects. They say it's hard to marry into a wealthy family. Liu Haicheng didn't expect that even though he was being this obvious, Qin Ran still wouldn't budge. Liu Haicheng asked tentatively, "Is Rian being stubborn? Are you two having a fight? Tell your uncle. I'll talk to her." Qin Ran shook his head. "We're just classmates, uncle. Please don't misunderstand." Classmates? Liu Haicheng's lips twitched. He was a fool if he still couldn't understand things now. Liu Haicheng forced a smile. Sigh. Young people's affairs, uncle doesn't understand. You should go to your checkups with your parents. Okay. Qin Ran left without any hesitation. He went straight to the president's office and called in Xinming, who had been assisting Qin Yushan with his checkup. "Uncle Ing, is my dad okay?" "The reports won't be ready for a while. President Qin seems to be in good spirits and hasn't mentioned any discomfort recently, so it shouldn't be anything too serious, but we still have to wait for the reports." Qin Ran changed the subject. "Uncle Ing, do you remember Liu Haicheng? President Liu?" "Yes, their Chamber of Commerce works with our hospital. He also happened to be here the past 2 times my dad came for his checkups. What a coincidence." Ing Ximing broke out into a cold sweat. "This? Uncle Ing, don't be nervous. You are also an elder at our company. Maybe it was someone below who did something silly. I just think it's strange how it was such a coincidence every time." Ing Ximing wiped the sweat from his brow. "I'll investigate this right away, and I'll definitely give the young master an explanation soon. No rush. Uncle Ing should help my dad with his checkup first." "Okay, I'll go back now then." Thank you, Uncle Ing." "No problem. These are all things I should be doing." After Ing Ximing left the office, his face immediately darkened, and he made several phone calls in a row. This matter wasn't too big, but it wasn't too small either. But it was definitely not allowed to casually leak Qin Yushan's whereabouts. If Qin Yushan were to be kidnapped and held for ransom, the person who leaked the information would be an accomplice. He, as the hospital's president, would also be held accountable. Originally, Ing Ximing thought there was a slim possibility that Liu Haicheng could become Qin Ran's father-in-law, but it seemed like he had been overthinking it. Qin Ran's meaning was clear. He wasn't familiar with Liu Haicheng. Repeated coincidences definitely meant there was a problem. There were many cooperation agreements between the hospital and various chambers of commerce, but he had never seen anyone running to the hospital when they didn't need to. Ing Ximing could easily guess that Liu Haicheng's goal was to get closer to Qin Yushan. Merchants seek profit. If he could get in Qin Yushan's good graces, Liu Haicheng could easily become the president of the Chamber of Commerce. Ing Ximing called a few people to a small conference room. Last night, after receiving a call from Qin Ran, he had notified only a few people. If there was a problem, it had to be with the people in front of him. Ing Ximing was gentle and cautious in front of Qin Ran, but he was the head of the hospital. This was his territory. Ing Ximing said sternly, "Which one of you contacted Liu Haicheng? Speak up now. Otherwise, when I find out, it won't be so easy. Don't try your luck. Liu Haicheng is downstairs. Hurry up." The people in the room looked at each other. "President, who is Liu Haicheng? What's going on?" The vice director in charge of checkups suddenly trembled. President, I was wrong. I'm sorry. Everyone else leave." Chapter 127. The End of Affection, No More Ties. Qin Yushan's checkup report came back, and the polyps hadn't grown larger, nor were there any signs of malignancy. The next checkup could be postponed to 2 months later. If Qin Yushan was willing to have surgery, he could have the polyps removed as early as next week. However, Qin Yushan didn't want to undergo surgery for such a minor issue, nor did he want to be hospitalized. There were still many matters at the company, and he had a meeting to attend to, so he was eager to return. Moreover, he had to go on a business trip next week, so he had no time to be hospitalized. In Qin Yushan's opinion, there was absolutely no need for surgery. Qin Ran didn't insist on surgery as long as Qin Yushan went for regular checkups to avoid any unexpected situations. He set reminders on his calendar, and when the time came, he would accompany Qin Yushan for another checkup. They would look at the report then, but the bottom line was, they had to have regular checkups regardless of whether there were any problems or not. When Ng Shiming determined that surgery was needed, they couldn't delay it. For now, since there wasn't a problem, it didn't matter. After the checkup, Qin Yushan prepared to return to the company. This time, instead of leaving from the lobby, Ng Shiming escorted the three of them out through a special VIP entrance. The driver had already brought the car over, and Qin Yushan and Lian Qin left first. Qin Ran watched his parents leave. Ng Shiming assured him that something like this would not happen again. The vice director who leaked Qin Yushan's information had been dealt with, and the others who knew about it had been warned. Qin Ran didn't ask for specific details, he just needed to know the result. But if it happened again, then Ng Shiming's time as president would be over. He didn't need to say it explicitly, the latter understood. Ng Shiming was a smart man. He knew what he should do. Qin Ran could confirm that Liu Haichang had deliberately tried to get close, and the purpose was obvious. Then, had it been the same in his previous life? Qin Ran had always thought that Liu Ruyuan had chosen to be with him because of her feelings for him. After all, in his previous life, he had hidden his identity well, and Liu Ruyuan had never known that he was the heir to the Qin group. But now, he wasn't so sure anymore. Perhaps it had been Liu Haichang's doing. But whether it was or not, it didn't matter now. The moment Qin Ran had been reborn, he had completely let go. Considering their past relationship, and the fact that Liu Haichang hadn't done anything too outrageous, Qin Ran didn't take action against him. But if Liu Haichang continued like this, then he wouldn't mind making the Liu family the next Ji family. After leaving the hospital, Qin Ran went to a coffee shop and found a quiet corner to look over some documents. He had already discussed it with his father. Regarding entering the new energy vehicle sector, Qin Yushan had told him to go ahead and do it. Qin Ran decided to take some time off next week to go to Xiang province to conduct some research. After all, documents were not the same as seeing it for himself. But he wasn't planning on using the Qin group's identity, nor would he directly express any interest in acquiring the Jiangnan automobile factory. The things he would see then wouldn't be genuine. Qin Ran asked Li Huachuan to arrange for a car dealer identity so that he could go and visit the factory. Once he had seen it, he would make other plans. Jiangnan Automobile Factory was owned by Porschetai, and Porschetai's largest shareholder was the Copper Bull Group. The final negotiation would actually be with the Copper Bull Group. Li Huachuan had provided very detailed information, which included the current state of the Jiangnan Automobile Factory, as well as many documents on Porschetai and the Copper Bull Group. Copper Bull mainly focused on two areas. One was automobile manufacturing and sales, and the other was real estate, both very profitable areas. The Qin Group had had business dealings with the Copper Bull Group. Real estate developers can't avoid Zhonghai. Whether it was raising capital in Zhonghai or bidding for land, they would directly or indirectly have business dealings with the Qin Group. The documents provided by Li Huachuan also included a lot of inside information about Porschetai. One piece of information stood out, which was a dealer accusing Porschetai of fraudulently claiming subsidies. Last year, Porschetai sent 50 vehicles to a dealer, but the dealer returned them because they couldn't be registered. This April, which was 2 months ago, that same dealer received 500 vehicles, but over 300 of those vehicles couldn't be registered. Under Porschetai's persuasive communication, almost 400 vehicles were registered. But after only 2 months, there were new problems. It turned out that the registered vehicles couldn't be transferred to a new owner. The Vehicle Management Office discovered during inspection that the vehicle identification numbers, VINs, had been altered. The VIN was like a person's ID number, and it was not allowed to be altered. When the dealer approached Porschetai, they were ignored. So they chose to file a lawsuit and accuse the latter of fraudulently claiming subsidies. The current subsidy standard was 1,800 yuan per kilowatt. Porschetai could get a subsidy of about 60,000 yuan for the models the dealer bought. As long as they reached a certain mileage, Porschetai could receive the subsidy. Porschetai had already received millions in subsidies previously. This batch of vehicles alone could bring Porschetai over 10 million in subsidies. And that was only for one dealer. Add up all the dealers nationwide, and the amount of subsidies would be unimaginable. Porschetai was currently on a roll, but it was actually all about fraudulently claiming subsidies. From this, It was clear why Portiatai would completely collapse later on. They had never even thought about making an honest living. They just wanted to quickly rake in a fortune during this surge. As much as they could. Qin Ran couldn't help but worry about his trip to Xiang province. Even if he successfully acquired the Jiangnan automobile factory and obtained the manufacturing qualifications, the road ahead for vehicle manufacturing wouldn't be so smooth. Qin Ran started to think about how to develop new energy vehicles. Talents, patents, core technology, mold development, vehicle manufacturing, production lines. Before he knew it, 3 hours had passed. Qin Ran realized that he hadn't even had lunch yet. He ordered another cup of coffee and a seaweed and pork floss bun. Out of the hundreds of new car companies, only a dozen survived, excluding the ones fraudulently claiming subsidies. And those that had their own core technology and could actually manufacture vehicles themselves were even fewer. There was still a long way to go. But Qin Ran had capital and resources. Entering the new energy vehicle industry wasn't difficult. The difficult part was becoming a leader. Since he was going to do it, he would naturally strive to do it the best. Qin Ran kept perfecting his plan and finally closed his laptop, ready to head back to school. As he stood up, he suddenly noticed a familiar figure. A slender girl was sitting in a corner by the wall, sketching. Her long legs had nowhere to go, and her knees were touching the table. Qin Ran hesitated for a moment, but didn't go over to greet her. Instead, he prepared to leave. But at this moment, Liu Fei raised her head. Their eyes met. Qin Ran nodded as a greeting and prepared to head back to school. This coffee shop was not far from the school, and it only took about 10 minutes to walk back. Liu Fei often came to this coffee shop. She came almost every weekend and ordered a vanilla latte that was good value for money. She had noticed Qin Ran when she came in because he was sitting in the spot she usually sat. Liu Fei packed up her drawing supplies and also prepared to return to school. When they were waiting at the traffic light, they were standing side by side. Chapter 128. Taking the first step, smooth sailing ahead. Liu Fei turned her head to look at Qin Ran. If you have something to say, just say it. What's the result? What result? Haven't you sent it to the publishing house yet? Liu Fei didn't speak, which was the equivalent of admitting it. The light turned green. Qin Ran said as he walked, "Why don't you give it a try? You draw very well." After waiting a long time at the red light, once you take the first step, you might find it smooth sailing ahead. Liu Fei paused, and then quickened her pace to walk alongside Qin Ran. Are you minoring in philosophy? No. Then do you always give people these motivational pep talks? No. Do you really think I draw well? It's pretty good. You haven't even seriously looked at my drawings. I'll send them to you later. After speaking, Liu Fei sped up her pace and left. Qin Ran was taken aback for a moment, and then he smiled. Perhaps all Liu Fei needed was some affirmation. After returning to the dorm, Qin Ran received the photos from Liu Fei. All of them were photos of her comic book, and there was a small cartoon girl pattern in the bottom right corner, with the signature Feifei. The style was very cute. As for the content, it was quite childish. Perfect for college students to read. Elementary school students would probably say, "I'm not a child anymore. I don't read these anymore." After Qin Ran finished reading it, he suddenly came to a realization. Liu Fei had probably never been in love. Just like how a romance novelist who has never been in love can write a sci-fi love story. Because many of the scenes were the idealized version of love, which was too fantastical. Love in real life was often not as sweet. The period of ambiguity and the honeymoon phase were the happiest, when everything was perfect. Qin Ran didn't give any advice or feedback. After finishing reading it carefully, he only replied to Liu Fei with a thumbs-up emoji. She had indeed drawn well. It should be very popular with young people, especially young girls who had a rosy vision of love. After receiving the message, the corners of Liu Fei's lips curled into a slight smile. She then opened her drawer and looked at the comic book she had spent over half a year meticulously creating. In the end, it was as if she had made up her mind. She wouldn't lock it away anymore. At this moment, a sharp voice came from the balcony. Liu Fei shook her head, put on her headphones, and climbed into bed to draw on her tablet. She had a new inspiration, a new love story. There was only Liu Ruyuan on the balcony. Her father had just called her again. This was already the third phone call for the day. Close to noon, her father had called to say that he might have had a misunderstanding with Qin Ran. It was only after Liu Ruyuan interrogated him for a while that she found out that her father had gone to the hospital to bump into Qin Ran again. The last chance meeting hadn't gone so well, and Liu Ruyuan didn't expect that her father would go to the hospital again. She could guess his intentions. She also wanted to reconcile with Qin Ran and marry into the Qin family later. But recently, the distance between her and Qin Ran had not only failed to shorten, but had actually gotten further. Moreover, she had clearly noticed that Qin Ran had begun to lose his patience with her, and she could see it in his eyes. Liu Ruyuan had been thinking about whether she should let things cool down for a couple of days, but she received her father's call. It had ruined her appetite. In the afternoon, she received another call from her father. This time, he clearly told her that something had happened. The hospital's vice director had scolded Liu Haichang and had demanded compensation. Liu Haichang finally realized that his secret intentions had been seen through. He was definitely not going to pay compensation. Moreover, the person who had been fired was also worthless to him. What Liu Haichang was most worried about was that he had left a bad impression on Qin Yushan. He would surely be labeled as having ulterior motives. It would be even more difficult to get close to Qin Yushan in the future. So Liu Haichang was thinking of repairing the relationship through his daughter, and he also came up with an excuse. He said that he just wanted to see if there were any problems with Qin Ran's father's health. During their last meeting, he had heard Qin Ran say that he would be taking his father for a checkup, and at the time, he had even asked if he needed him to help him put in a good word. He could spin it that way, but it wasn't appropriate for him to go and explain himself to Qin Yushan right away, otherwise he would be admitting his guilt. So he wanted to pass the message to the Qin family through his daughter. At the same time, he wanted to ask his daughter how things were progressing with Qin Ran, and whether there was a chance. Liu Ruyuan, who wasn't already having a good time, became even more upset after hearing that. Wasn't this just making things even more difficult for her? Liu Ruyuan refused her father's request. If she wanted to repair her relationship with Qin Ran, she couldn't involve these things. Otherwise, Qin Ran might think that she was also after the Qin family's wealth. Feeling frustrated, Liu Ruyuan was no longer as composed as before. There were two opposing ideas fighting within Liu Ruyuan's heart. One was to get back together with Qin Ran, make up for the mistakes of her past life, and get engaged with him again. The other was to achieve success on her own, to prove that she could live well even without marrying into the Qin family. It wouldn't be difficult to surpass the Qin family if Douyin were to go public successfully. Liu Ruyuan called someone from the tech company to ask about how the software development was going. The answer was that it was still not ready. They even wanted more money. Liu Ruyuan could no longer control herself and started scolding the person. She had already invested over 300,000 yuan, and they had originally said it could be done for 100,000 yuan. They had also said that by adding a few thousand, they could drastically shorten the development cycle. But after so long, she still hadn't seen anything. Whenever she asked, they just said that it was still in development, and it was all code, which she couldn't understand. If they were still not picking up the phone, she would have thought that they had run off with the money. And if they hadn't introduced her to that unreliable cryptocurrency trading platform, she wouldn't have lost millions. Whenever she thought about her lost fortune of almost 10 million, Liu Ruyuan's heart would ache. If she had withdrawn that 8 million, her college life would be more comfortable, and she could have done so much more. After letting off some steam, Liu Ruyuan decided she couldn't rely solely on the current tech company. She needed to find another one. She had intended to do so last time, but she hadn't been able to get the money from her father. Now that her father had made another mistake, she had a reason to ask for money. In the evening, Liu Ruyuan proactively called her father. She wanted money. The reason was simple. It was to repair her relationship with Qin Ran. Liu Haichang had only planned on giving her 10,000 yuan, but in the end he increased it to 100,000. This was far from Liu Ruyuan's goal. She was still eyeing the apartment that Liu Haichang had bought for his mistress. In the end, the father and daughter reached a compromise. Liu Haichang would give her 100,000 yuan first. If Liu Ruyuan could successfully repair her relationship with Qin Ran using the money, then he would continue to invest. That's right, Liu Haichang viewed this matter as a huge investment. In fact, he wouldn't care if it was 100,000 yuan or even 1,000,000. As long as he could become in-laws with the Qin family, he would be willing to sell his own house to do so, because he was very clear on what it meant to get in good graces with the Qin family. After receiving the transfer from her father, Liu Ruyuan immediately began searching for a new tech company. Chapter 129. Yearning for independence yet hesitating. Liu Ruyuan intended to find a better tech company, not just a personal studio. But she had already realized that she wasn't good at this aspect. Aside from occasionally playing games, she usually just browsed moments, Weibo, Douyin, and Xiaohongshu. She had no idea about coding, and she didn't understand the process of developing programs. Liu Ruyuan was very dissatisfied with the current tech company. She had given them money, but there were still no results. She had given them a deadline. 1 month later, she needed to see an initial program page. But she didn't want to repeat the same mistake. Repeating a mistake was undoubtedly foolish. So, Liu Ruyuan wanted to find a partner. They not only needed to understand this field, but it would be even better if they had connections. After Douyin was developed, it would also need to be promoted. Liu Ruyuan first thought of Qin Ran, but she quickly rejected the idea. The relationship between the two was not good at the moment. If she wanted to mend their relationship and become lovers, it was best not to involve too many things, especially business-related things that involved money. Liu Ruyuan dearly missed the Qin Ran of her previous life. Whenever she wanted to do something, Qin Ran would support her unconditionally. Even after failing time and time again, Qin Ran would still be patient and always encourage her. But that would no longer happen now. Subconsciously, Liu Ruyuan was also worried about one thing. Once Douyin grew big and went public, would the Qin family forcibly take control of the company? She was just a woman. She had no chance of competing with the Qin family. That was a company with a future valuation of trillions. Who wouldn't want it? Liu Ruyuan would never agree if, after all her hard work, she ended up helping others. Douyin could only be hers. No one else could touch it. Moreover, as long as Douyin went public, it wouldn't matter if she married into the Qin family or not. She could live however she wanted then, and she wouldn't have to care about what others thought. There were always two competing ideas fighting in Liu Ruyuan's heart. One was to return to the way things were with Qin Ran, and the other was to get stronger on her own. Whenever she failed, the scales in her heart would tip to the other side. She would fail again, and it would tip back to the original side. This would repeat again and again. She was constantly wavering. Without much thought, Liu Ruyuan gave up on asking Qin Ran for help. Moreover, even if she did ask, he most likely wouldn't help her. To this day, she still couldn't understand why Qin Ran could be so heartless. To break up so decisively. Was all the love that he had shown her just fake? Were all those years of relationship just fake? Liu Ruyuan's second choice was naturally Wang Feifei. But some time ago, she had broken up with Wang Feifei to try to win back Qin Ran. Unfortunately, she was unsuccessful, and it didn't even help when she asked Feng Man to pass on a message. Now, her relationship with Wang Feifei was a bit strained. But she believed that as long as she took the initiative to show some goodwill, Wang Feifei would return to the way they were before. After all, Wang Feifei had still been frequently messaging her and appearing before her from time to time. Liu Ruyuan couldn't help but sigh. If only Qin Ran was like Wang Feifei. But when she tried to contact Wang Feifei, she suddenly remembered something. She still owed Wang Feifei more than 100,000 yuan. That was all of her savings. Although Wang Feifei would most likely not rush her to repay that money, what if he did? Liu Ruyuan hesitated. Having learned from previous experiences, Liu Ruyuan's trust in the men around her was not high. After thinking it over, Liu Ruyuan decided to do it on her own. There were so many tech companies in Zhonghai. If there weren't 1,000, there were definitely over 100. To be on the safe side, she could find one that was more well-known. She could even visit their company. Liu Ruyuan was truly worried that the new company would be a scam again. So, this time she would be even more careful. Liu Ruyuan suddenly realized that not even a reborn person was omnipotent. Even if they knew what opportunities were coming, when it actually came time to do them, there were still many problems they would encounter. Moreover, in an unfamiliar field, it was easy to learn through painful experiences. Liu Ruyuan had already paid nearly 10 million in tuition fees. She really didn't want to be scammed again. But if she wanted to get more money from her father, she still had to use Qin Ran. As for how to do it, she already had a great idea. Qin Ran's birthday was coming up soon. This would be a great opportunity. Liu Ruyuan knew just how massive the Qin group was. She also knew very well that Qin Ran wasn't a materialistic person. A person who had never lacked anything since childhood, had very little desire for material things. Liu Ruyuan didn't plan on using the money from her father to buy anything expensive. After all, she didn't have the money to buy truly expensive things. A few thousand yuan wouldn't even buy a decent watch. It was the thought that counted. Liu Ruyuan planned to send Qin Ran a special gift that would let him feel her care. But what should she send him? Liu Ruyuan was a little troubled. She had rarely given people gifts. It was always others who gave her gifts. Previously, no matter what she sent, the person who received the gift would always be happy. This also included Qin Ran. But that probably wouldn't happen now. So, this gift had to be special. Soon, she had an idea of what to send. Her eyes fell on Liu Yafei, who was drawing. After some hesitation, Liu Ruyuan walked to Liu Yafei's bed. Chapter 130, No, is just one word. The sucker has been found. After interacting with her for so long, Liu Ruyuan knew that Liu Yafei loved drawing, and that she was actually quite good. She had seen her drawing once or twice, but Liu Yafei always looked like she didn't want others to watch, so she didn't talk much about it. Moreover, in dorm 308, she and Liu Yafei's relationship could be considered the most ordinary. It could even be said to be bad. Because of Qin Ran, the two of them had some friction before. But Liu Ruyuan didn't think of herself as a child. She was a magnanimous adult. She could overlook Liu Yafei's past actions. And according to her observations these past few days, there was no ambiguous relationship between the two. Qin Ran was still closer to Lin Wanbai. Liu Ruyuan actually didn't think highly of Liu Yafei's drawings. Previously, she had noticed that the characters Liu Yafei drew were more cartoonish, not like the oil paintings and watercolor paintings that the art students she had interacted with used to do. Overall, it wasn't very high-end. It looked more like a personal hobby. But if it were to be used as a gift, especially for young couples, would probably have a very good effect. For example, drawing a chibi version of her and Qin Ran holding hands. If she sent that to Qin Ran, he would surely be touched. Sending a drawing was much better than sending breakfast. She also wouldn't have a repeat of the fiasco that had happened before. Last time, she had sent breakfast, and she had ended up sending Qin Ran pumpkin pancakes that he didn't eat, which had made her feel very embarrassed and a little guilty. But she believed that when Qin Ran received the gift that she had carefully prepared, he would definitely not be as cold as he had been before. Who could resist a cute, sweet, and beautiful girl? When Liu Ruyuan was young, she had been sent to various training classes, including painting, guzheng, dance, etc. In the end, she had chosen dance, because she thought the feeling of being the center of attention on stage was the best. She had also studied piano, but her piano teacher was a stubborn old lady, and she was very strict. She didn't like piano lessons, so she had stopped going after only a few lessons. But where she learned to dance, there were not only teachers, but also many other students. Every time she went to dance, she was the focus. Moreover, her body was naturally flexible, she had a lot of talent, and she was very suitable for dancing. So later, she had given up her other hobbies and only focused on dance and academic classes. Liu Ruyuan didn't know much about painting. Subjectively, she thought that Liu Yafei's drawings were just average. But Liu Yafei was the only one she knew who could draw, and chibi drawings were also what she needed. However, it definitely couldn't be entirely done by Liu Yafei. She needed to be involved in it herself. Liu Ruyuan didn't beat around the bush and said directly, "Can you help me draw a picture? I'll color it myself." Liu Yafei looked at Liu Ruyuan with some confusion, as if asking, "Are we very familiar?" A while ago, she had blocked me from leaving. Now, she was acting like nothing had happened. When Liu Yafei didn't respond, Liu Ruyuan continued, "I have a use for it, or you could teach me. Something cuter than what you drew. Last time, a chibi drawing, something more adorable." Last time, Liu Yafei had indeed drawn a picture of Liu Ruyuan, but it had meant, "Your face is really big." Looking at it now, it was true that she had drawn it correctly. Her face was indeed big. Liu Yafei said expressionlessly, "I refuse." Liu Ruyuan was stunned by this reply. She hadn't expected that when she took the initiative to ask, she would be rejected. And not a subtle refusal, but a direct and blunt refusal. Liu Ruyuan asked subconsciously, "Why?" "No time. Don't want to." Simple and direct. Liu Ruyuan frowned, stopped talking, and went back, her face looking upset. Liu Yafei looked at Liu Ruyuan's retreating figure, shook her head gently, and then continued to paint. Some people were so strange, as if everyone had to revolve around them. They thought highly of themselves and thought that they were princesses. Liu Yafei wouldn't put up with such people, nor would she help people simply because they were in the same dorm. When she had realized that Liu Ruyuan was this kind of person, she had chosen to distance herself from her. So when Fang Man and Li Huihui had been surrounding Liu Ruyuan in the beginning of the semester, she had always been alone. Liu Yafei didn't have a people-pleasing personality. She wouldn't sacrifice her own time to help others when she didn't want to. especially if she wasn't even going to get a simple thank you. Moreover, that wasn't the right way to ask for help. Liu Feifei paid no more attention to Liu Ruyuan and continued to paint. The figure of Qin Ran flashed through her mind again. It wasn't difficult to guess who Liu Ruyuan wanted to draw it for. Liu Feifei didn't want to get dragged into their emotional entanglement. But after listening to Qin Ran's words, she decided to send the drawings to a publisher. She had to try. Liu Feifei continued to create, and she added another character to her comic, a not-so-likable girl. Liu Ruyuan felt very angry after being rejected. She wouldn't ask Liu Feifei for help again. When she had taken the initiative to ask, she had also given the latter an opportunity to get out of this awkward relationship, but since the other person didn't want it, she wouldn't lower herself again. She could find an artist online to help. It wouldn't cost much. A few hundred yuan was enough. After fuming for a while, Liu Ruyuan began to search for freelance artists online. She found some on Taobao who could customize pieces. You could send your photo to the shop. They had all kinds of styles. This was a birthday gift for Qin Ran, so Liu Ruyuan picked one carefully. In the end, she decided on a shop that had a very good reputation. The reviews were all very good, and it didn't look like they had been faked. The only problem was the name of the shop, which sounded like an insult. Nima's Drawing Studio. Liu Ruyuan started chatting with the seller, raised her requests, and attached a photo of her and Qin Ran. She requested that the drawing must be vivid and cute, and that it had to be done quickly. Also, the photo and the drawing could not be used for other purposes, and definitely couldn't be in the storefront's display window. After some time, the seller replied that it was no problem. They asked what size she wanted, and whether she needed a frame. Liu Ruyuan replied that she wanted it A5 size, without a frame. Then, she urged them to get it done as quickly as possible. She then sent the link, and the seller changed the price to 500 yuan. Liu Ruyuan thought it was a bit expensive. The listed price was clearly 20 to 300 yuan. But since the reviews were good, she didn't want to go through the hassle of finding another shop. Moreover, she didn't care about an extra couple of hundred yuan, so she immediately paid the 500 yuan. Liu Ruyuan exited the chat. The corners of her lips curled up, and she would just wait to receive the drawing. When she thought of how touched Qin Ran would be after receiving her drawing, Liu Ruyuan felt delighted. After washing up, she stopped thinking about finding a tech company to develop the software, and instead started browsing her phone. It was almost lights out when Liu Feifei got out of bed. Fang Man, who had just finished showering, looked at Liu Feifei, who had a smile on her face, and asked, "What are you so happy about?" Liu Feifei smiled slightly. "I just scammed a sucker." Huh. Fang Man was a little confused. "What's sucker?" "It's nothing. Are you ready?" "Yeah, you can go wash up." Liu Feifei didn't explain. She put her tablet away, picked up her wash basin, and headed to the bathroom. Fang Man was a little lost. It was the first time she had seen Liu Feifei smile like that. Chapter 131. Scammed again, lifeless and hopeless. Days passed. Liu Ruyuan finally found another internet technology company, and after lengthy negotiations, she made a payment. This one wasn't in Zhonghai City, but rather in Shenzhen, a company called Mars Tech. According to the information she had gathered, Mars Tech specialized in developing software and mini-programs with a large customer base. They were also known for their innovation and high customer satisfaction rate. However, their prices were on the higher side. You get what you pay for. Liu Ruyuan opted for a more premium package, spending all 10,000 yuan. The project timeline was only a month, considerably faster than the previous company. But just a few days after finalizing the deal, another problem emerged. The company inquired whether Liu Ruyuan wanted to buy the source code, which would cost an additional 50,000 yuan. Liu Ruyuan, unfamiliar with computer technology, was initially confused when she received the message. After understanding the situation, she was furious. It turned out that when you hire a third party to develop software, the source code they create is still considered their intellectual property, meaning they own the rights to the code. In other words, she had spent 10,000 yuan to essentially buy a program, but the source code still belonged to the developer. This could only be changed if the contract specifically stipulated that the client acquired the ownership of the code. In that case, the client would obtain the right to use, transfer, and disclose the code within the terms of the contract. Without this clause, the source code remained with the third party. Liu Ruyuan couldn't help but get angry, imagining that soon after her Douyin account gained popularity, a nearly identical program would appear, competing for users and making it difficult to win a lawsuit. She questioned why they hadn't mentioned this beforehand. The The response was very formal, stating it was the default arrangement and that they had inquired out of goodwill. Liu Ruyuan felt like she was going to explode. Should she be thanking them? However, Douyin was key to her becoming a multi-billionaire. She couldn't allow any hiccups. Any potential risks had to be eliminated before they became problems. Therefore, even if it meant selling her blood, she was determined to come up with 50,000 yuan to buy the ownership of the code. Of course, Liu Ruyuan wasn't actually going to sell her blood. It wasn't Qin Ran's birthday yet, and their relationship hadn't improved, so she couldn't get money from her family. Liu Ruyuan was left with no choice but to ask Wang Feifei for help. Hearing Liu Ruyuan's request for money, Wang Feifei couldn't help but ask, "Yin Yin, is something wrong?" "No, I just need the money." "How could you need so much money if nothing's wrong? The last sum of over 100,000 was all the money I had." "Forget it then, if you don't have it." "Wait." Wang Feifei tried to take Liu Ruyuan's hand, but she instinctively pulled away. This made Wang Feifei feel terrible. A thought involuntarily popped into his mind. Was she using him as a cash cow? But after knowing Liu Ruyuan for so many years, he knew she wasn't that kind of person. Wang Feifei stopped in front of Liu Ruyuan. "Yin Yin, don't rush. I'm not saying I won't help, but you need to give me a reason, right?" I'm starting a business. I need money." "Starting a business? Are you really going to drop out of school?" "No. I'm doing some things in my spare time." "What are you doing?" "It's internet-related. Opening an online store? That shouldn't cost that much money." "I've told you. Are you going to lend me the money or not?" Liu Ruyuan's eyebrows were furrowed. "I will lend it." Wang Feifei gritted his teeth. "Give me some time. I'll go raise the funds." "Really? Thank you, Feifei. You're the only friend I have right now." Wang Feifei's eye twitched. He felt conflicted. Not too long ago, Liu Ruyuan had cut off all contact with him, and he had no idea why. But he truly loved Liu Ruyuan. No matter what, since Liu Ruyuan had made the request, he would help. Moreover, the more Liu Ruyuan owed him, the harder it would be for her to repay. Not just the money, but the favor as well. Wang Feifei watched Liu Ruyuan's slender figure as she walked away. His heart stirred. If he could secure the Wang family's assets and win the hand of this beauty, his life would be complete. He wouldn't mind suffering a little humiliation for that. Also, since he had been receiving a lot of overdue payment reminders lately, even if Liu Ruyuan hadn't asked for money, Wang Feifei would need to figure out how to raise some. His roommates were all broke, and even those with better financial backgrounds wouldn't be able to lend tens of thousands. Wang Feifei decided to target his own family. After all, none of his so-called family members had ever treated him with sincerity. Wang Feifei hadn't been doing nothing lately. He had been planning on how to seize the family assets. He intended to use the information he had to make a small sum first, then gradually devour the entire Wang family. After so many years of enduring humiliation, Wang Feifei didn't want to wait any longer. 3 days later, Liu Ruyuan received the transfer from Wang Feifei. 50,000 yuan exactly. Liu Ruyuan replied with a simple thank you, and immediately contacted Mars Tech's customer service. She then signed a new contract, adding the clause regarding ownership. Once the software was developed, the full rights would belong to Liu Ruyuan. Liu Ruyuan transferred the money to the designated bank account. She noticed that this account was different from the previous one, with a different bank. However, the customer service representative explained that the company had multiple accounts due to its numerous transactions. Liu Ruyuan considered it plausible. It was normal for a large company to have more than one account. But on the same day, the company requested another contract, requiring her to pay 8,000 yuan for a confidentiality agreement, stipulating that neither party could disclose the source code. Liu Ruyuan finally sensed that something was wrong. Since she owned the source code, why would they need to sign a confidentiality agreement? The reason they gave was that the code was only for her use and on a lifelong basis, but she couldn't disclose the code to anyone else. It sounded logical, but upon closer inspection, it didn't make sense. Liu Ruyuan looked at the chat history, her heart sinking. She involuntarily swallowed. It seemed she had fallen for another scam. With a shred of hope, Liu Ruyuan reached out to another internet company. She had initially contacted several software development companies and after comparing them, chose Mars Tech. The customer service representative from the other company said there was no such thing as source code confidentiality fees. Reputable companies would clearly outline the ownership rights. Normally, the client would own the rights to the code. After development was complete, the code and all background data would be handed over to the client. Seeing the reply, Liu Ruyuan's phone fell to the floor with a thud. It was during class, and the noise drew everyone's attention. Liu Ruyuan stared blankly ahead, looking dazed. Her deskmate, Li Hui, picked up her phone while the teacher continued with the lecture. Ruyuan, what's wrong? Devastated, Liu Ruyuan didn't answer, just sat there blankly. Li Hui glanced at her phone screen and slipped it into Liu Ruyuan's desk drawer. They were still in class, so she couldn't ask much, but the message on the screen made her wonder. Liu Ruyuan's mind was a blank. She couldn't hear anything, as if deaf. Chapter 132. Who should give up? Liu Ruyuan couldn't understand why she had been scammed again. Was there a plethora of scammers out there specifically targeting people looking for a software developer? All the other companies she contacted were fine. How come she was the one who ended up being scammed? She shouldn't have transferred the second payment. Being scammed repeatedly made Liu Ruyuan question herself. People had always praised her for her intelligence and good academic performance. Getting scammed once was unfortunate, but to fall for it again? Liu Ruyuan returned to her dorm room and collapsed lifelessly onto her bed. This time, she didn't even have the urge to vent. She just felt physically and mentally exhausted. All she wanted to do was make money. Why did she have to pay so many tuition fees for it? Buzz, buzz, buzz. Her phone started vibrating. Liu Ruyuan looked at the screen, pressed the power button, and tossed it aside. The screen went dark. The caller was Wang Feifei. Liu Ruyuan didn't need to ask to know what Wang Feifei wanted, but she didn't want to talk to anyone right now, except for Qin Ran. Liu Ruyuan felt wronged and longed to be in Qin Ran's arms as she had been in the past. With Qin Ran by her side, she didn't have to worry about anything. Even if things went wrong, Qin Ran would help her clean up the mess. Liu Ruyuan closed her eyes, her mind filled with memories of her previous life. How happy she used to be. But now she had to bear everything on her own. Her father had cheated on her mother, her investments had been swindled, and she was buried in debt. Tears trickled down the corners of Liu Ruyuan's eyes. Around midnight, Fang Man and Liu Yufei returned after dinner. Neither of them paid any attention to Liu Ruyuan, who was lying on the bed. A while later, Li Hui walked into the room carrying a bucket of milk tea. The bucket was only 15 yuan, with extra toppings, and was massive. It was Li Hui's favorite. She had said she wanted to lose weight when she started college and wanted to be as thin as Liu Ruyuan, but she had already forgotten it. Now, Li Hui was the only one in dorm 308 who was relatively close to Liu Ruyuan. Seeing Liu Ruyuan lying motionless on her bed, Li Hui asked, concerned, "Ruyuan, are you okay? Are you feeling any better?" "MHM. Do you want some milk tea?" "No, thanks." "Is your period coming?" "No." "Then can you stop asking questions?" "Okay." Li Hui, feeling snubbed, glared at Liu Ruyuan before sitting down and aggressively drinking her milk tea. Milk tea that most girls might not finish in a whole day, Li Hui could down in an hour. Li Hui set up her phone and started watching dramas. The sound was quite loud and disturbing. It was clear that Li Hui's concern had been superficial. She wasn't really thinking about how Liu Ruyuan was feeling, or if she needed to rest. Liu Ruyuan just wanted to be alone and quiet. The lowbrow soap opera's plot and embarrassing dialogue made her even more agitated. "Can you wear headphones?" "Okay." Li Hui pouted, picked up her wired headphones from the desk, and put them on. This meant that she would drink her milk tea more loudly. So, she decided to only wear one earphone, feeling increasingly annoyed by Liu Ruyuan. Next time, she wouldn't even bother to ask. Liu Ruyuan tossed and turned, feeling a nameless rage with nowhere to go. She picked up her phone and ignored Wang Feifei's calls and numerous messages. Instead, she opened a chat window on Taobao with a vendor. "How is the painting? Is it done yet?" Almost 3 minutes later, the vendor replied, "Not done yet. And when will it be done? Why is it so slow?" "Soon." Liu Ruyuan frowned tightly. She felt the vendor's attitude was very perfunctory, lacking the servile manner of other vendors. "I need it by this weekend. Can you finish it? If not, I'll get a refund and find another vendor." "Okay." The chat ended abruptly. Liu Ruyuan got out of bed, put on her jacket, and left the dorm room. She didn't want to stay in the room. It was too small, crowded, and filled with people she didn't like. If only she had money, she would move out and rent a bigger, well-furnished apartment. Liu Ruyuan suddenly thought about her father's house. It was spacious and comfortable for a single person to live in, but because the mistress had lived there, it was disgusting. Never mind. Liu Ruyuan wandered aimlessly around the campus. Coincidentally, she saw Qin Ran and Lin Wanbai walking side by side in front of her. Qin Ran was also pulling a suitcase, as if he was about to leave school. Were they going on a trip? Together? Would they be sharing a room? As soon as the thought entered her mind, Liu Ruyuan immediately ran up and blocked their path. Where are you going? The smile on Qin Ran's face, which had been present while he was chatting with Lin Wanbai, disappeared, and he frowned. What do you want? Where are you going? Spit it out. Seeing Qin Ran's attitude, Liu Ruyuan felt wronged and angry. In the past, Qin Ran would never have spoken to her like this, let alone be so impatient. Liu Ruyuan was already unhappy and full of anger today. Now, it finally burst out. You're not allowed to go. What do you mean we're not allowed? What are you talking about? Can you stop making a scene? Aren't you going on vacation? Did you book only one room? Qin Ran's eye twitched. He was speechless by Liu Ruyuan's words. Stop it already. I'm not making a scene. Do you even know what happened to me today? I took a leave from school, and you didn't even ask me. Why would I ask? Liu Ruyuan was at a loss for words. Seeing the onlookers gathering around, Qin Ran turned to Lin Wanbai. You go on back first. Lin Wanbai gently shook her head, with no intention of leaving. Qin Ran didn't know why Liu Ruyuan had become like this, unreasonable and making a fuss. It was no longer her usual spoiled princess behavior. To be frank, she was acting like a shrew. Qin Ran said coldly, I don't know what happened to you, nor do I care. You're not a child anymore. You need to learn to bear the consequences yourself. You said you would spoil me for a lifetime. Qin Ran was silent for a moment, before asking a question that shocked Liu Ruyuan. Are you still the same person you used to be? Having said that, Qin Ran told Lin Wanbai, I'm leaving. Take care on the road, Lin Wanbai smiled. Message me when you get there. Qin Ran left, pulling his suitcase, without glancing at Liu Ruyuan again. He had already made it clear to her, but Liu Ruyuan just refused to believe it. Now, only Lin Wanbai and Liu Ruyuan were left. The onlookers began to disperse. However, many boys slowed down, drawn by the good looks of the two girls. Lin Wanbai didn't leave. Her clear, cold eyes fixed on Liu Ruyuan. Having come back to her senses, Liu Ruyuan didn't avert her gaze, but frowned. What will it take for you to give up on Qin Ran? Lin Wanbai wasn't intimidated by Liu Ruyuan's aggressive stance. She replied word by word, I like him. Why would I give up? He doesn't like you. Why don't you give up? Liu Ruyuan was stunned. Chapter 133, Different Lives. Lies don't hurt. The truth is a blade. Lin Wanbai's words felt like a knife to Liu Ruyuan's heart. Although Qin Ran's attitude had been quite obvious, Liu Ruyuan still didn't want to admit it. The veil of self-deception had been torn away. Liu Ruyuan felt angry inside, but she didn't know how to respond. Her face alternated between pale and flushed. Lin Wanbai continued, Qin Ran has made it very clear to you. Please don't bother him anymore. Bother him? Do you know how many years I've known Qin Ran? You don't understand our relationship at all. We almost got married. Married? Lin Wanbai frowned slightly. You wouldn't understand anyway. I won't give up. It's your freedom to like him. It's his freedom to not like you. With that, Lin Wanbai turned and left. Liu Ruyuan stood in silence, gazing in the direction Qin Ran had disappeared. When had their relationship turned so sour? Now she didn't even know what Qin Ran was going to do with his luggage. Liu Ruyuan had so much frustration to share with Qin Ran. For example, about how she got scammed when she was trading cryptocurrencies, and then she'd been scammed again these past few days. With Qin Group's resources, they should be able to get the money back, right? In the past, Qin Ran would definitely have helped. At the very least, he would have supported her entrepreneurship. Liu Ruyuan could feel the distance between herself and Qin Ran growing further and further. Now, they couldn't even be called friends. They were just ordinary classmates, and might end up as complete strangers. Liu Ruyuan felt increasingly panicked. Her repeated failures made her want to rely on Qin Ran even more, in hopes of restoring their past relationship. However, Qin Ran had no such intention. He had packed his suitcase because he was going to inspect the Jiangnan automotive factory. Li Huachuan had arranged everything, and he would visit as a car dealer. This time, Qin Ran went alone, without a team. Just after 6 in the evening, Qin Ran checked into the Mandarin Hotel in Xingqing. The hotel was located on the banks of the Xiangjiang River, with amazing river views and nightscapes. Qin Ran didn't go to the night market. Instead, he ordered room service and ate a simple meal in his room. In his previous life, he had taken Liu Ruyuan to Xingqing for a couple of days. They had visited almost all the attractions and eaten all the street food, like fried noodles and snails. Despite the heavy flavors, Qin Ran was rather fond of Xingqing. This trip was for business, but he could come back for fun with his girlfriend in the future. After dinner, Qin Ran continued reviewing the documents Li Huachuan had provided. He had read them multiple times. Many of these documents contained information that was difficult to find publicly. If he wanted to acquire Jiangnan Automotive Factory, he would need to visit Tongyo Group, which was behind Porsche. Before that, Qin Ran needed to confirm whether Jiangnan Automotive Factory was worth upgrading and renovating. Vehicle manufacturing qualifications were only one aspect. To build cars, you needed a factory and equipment. Jiangnan Automotive Factory was considered a lower mid-range manufacturer in China. In recent years, it had been in a state of decline. Porsche was more interested in subsidies than in actually building great cars. Porsche had acquired several factories, and Jiangnan Automotive Factory was one of the less favored ones. Qin Ran was confident that he could acquire it at a relatively low cost. He spent 2.5 hours reviewing the documents. Qin Ran rubbed his eyes, stood up, and stretched. Before going to sleep, he chatted with Lin Wanbai. Liu Ruyuan also sent him messages, a friend request, and inquiries about where he had gone. But Qin Ran ignored them all. The next day, Qin Ran changed into a semi-formal outfit and took the hotel's chauffeured car to Jiangnan Automotive Factory. The person in charge of receiving him was a business manager at the factory named Wang Kaidong, a thin man in his 30s. Someone had given Wang Kaidong a heads-up about him. They said that a young second-generation heir was planning to start his own company and rent cars. But, frankly, Wang Kaidong wasn't impressed. What company would use their cars for rentals now? It would devalue their brand. But, many times, the reasons didn't matter. There could be other deals going on. If he could profit from this, or at least make a sale, that would be good. So, Wang Kaidong's attitude toward Qin Ran was still quite good. He had even planned to drive to the hotel himself to pick up Qin Ran for a tour of the factory, but Qin Ran had refused. Seeing the luxury car Qin Ran was in, as well as the private chauffeur, Wang Kaidong confirmed Qin Ran's identity. He was indeed a second-generation heir. Qin Ran told the driver to find somewhere to rest, and entered the factory with Wang Kaidong. Mr. Qin, this is our automotive industrial park. We mainly produce mid to high-end cars, with a capacity of 300,000 units. Qin Ran was puzzled. Mid to high-end cars? Which models are those? Our new Fengguang sedan, it's already being exported. Qin Ran recalled that Jiangnan Automotive Factory didn't have any mid to high-end models. But, according to the data, they had exported one model, though in very small quantities. The 300,000 unit production capacity might be real, but selling 30,000 units a year was probably a stretch. Qin Ran didn't contradict Wang Kaidong. Instead, he asked, "Can I see the car you mentioned?" "Sure, the showroom is just ahead." Qin Ran followed Wang Kaidong to the showroom, where he saw the so-called mid-to-high-end model, the Fengguang. It had a 1.8-liter engine, a 5-speed manual transmission, an electric sunroof, central door locks, reverse radar, ABS, a 6-CD changer, safety airbags, and hands-free car phone capabilities. Qin Ran was dumbfounded. These were standard features for almost every car. Why did they need to be pointed out? "Is this Fengguang model your best car?" "Yes, this is our main model, but we're also developing new cars." Qin Ran had not yet visited the workshop, but he was already worried. Upgrading and renovating the production line would probably be a waste of money. He might as well just build a new factory. Qin Ran smiled, saying nothing. Wang Kaidong knew that their cars were not competitive. But what could he do? As a sales representative, he had to present the best picture possible. Otherwise, if he told the truth, he would be kicked out of the company. Wang Kaidong didn't spend too long in the showroom. Few domestic car manufacturers could boast of a long history. It was better to go to the workshop. Very few car dealers actually understood car manufacturing. Some dealers knew about cars, but not about how they were actually built. Wang Kaidong still hadn't figured out what Qin Ran's real intentions were, but he needed to introduce everything just in case it led to a deal. Jiangnan Automotive Factory had been a military factory, and they used technology and production lines imported from abroad. It focused on durability, low prices, and fuel efficiency. There was a period of time where they were somewhat successful. There were once 4 military factories, and Jiangnan Automotive Factory was one of them. However, the only one that actually performed well was the Qinchuan Automotive, which had been acquired by BYD. Compared to that, Jiangnan Automotive Factory had performed quite badly. Their best technology was the Bosch multi-point electronic fuel injection engine. It offered even fuel injection, relatively complete combustion, low vibration, strong acceleration, and fuel efficiency. However, as time passed, the technology they were once proud of had become obsolete. But for Qin Ran, this was a good thing. The worse the situation of Jiangnan Automotive Factory, the lower the acquisition cost would be. While Qin Ran was pondering how to acquire Jiangnan Automotive Factory with a few small goals, he knew he would still need to hire a professional team to do an assessment. But Liu Ruyuan was troubled over 100,000 yuan. One wrong step, and everything went wrong. Chapter 134. The Unavoidable Giants. After touring the oil vehicle production line, Qin Ran looked around and couldn't help but ask, "Don't you produce electric vehicles?" Electric vehicles? Wang Kaidong was taken aback. "Mr. Qin, are you looking to buy an electric car?" "I'm considering it. Hasn't Porsche just released a new model of new energy vehicles? Has your factory thought about producing electric cars?" "Looking to get subsidies, huh?" Wang Kaidong immediately pointed out the essence of Porsche's car manufacturing. "But if Mr. Qin is interested in electric cars, you might need to go through the group. We're working on it, but it's not ready yet. It'll probably take a while." "How long?" "It's hard to say. 2 or 3 years? Really hard to say. If it takes that long, the profit window will have passed." Wang Kaidong sighed lightly. "Mr. Qin, to be honest, you've seen the situation at our factory. It's not that easy to switch to producing electric vehicles. When I first came in, I saw a large open area next to the factory filled with many electric cars. Well, those were temporarily parked by BYD. We're just renting them the space." "Oh, do you have a partnership with them?" "No," Wang Kaidong chuckled awkwardly. "We just rented them the space. It was empty anyway, so it's a bit of extra income. Could you show me your electric cars?" "Well," Wang Kaidong shook his head. "Sorry, but that's part of our R&D secrecy. I can't show you." "I understand. All right, I have a general idea now. Let's call it a day. I'll see you out. Which hotel are you staying at?" "I have a driver with me." "Thanks, Manager Wang. You don't need to accompany me." "Then I won't. Let's stay in touch, Mr. Qin. Safe travels." Qin Ran nodded and got into his car to leave. Although Wang Kaidong sounded convincing, Qin Ran knew he could only trust about half of it. Even if half of it was true, it was already good enough. As for Wang Kaidong's claim that the factory was working on electric vehicles, Qin Ran didn't fully believe it. If that were the case, the Jiangnan factory would have already launched electric cars. Qin Ran was very clear about Porsche's nature. They wouldn't miss out on making money, especially when there was a chance to profit from both sides. The problem was that converting the oil vehicle production line to produce electric cars would incur high costs. Besides, the cars made by Jiangnan Auto Factory were all small displacement and low-priced, which didn't quite meet Porsche's standards. If Jiangnan Auto Factory was going to make electric cars, they'd have to wait for the real electric vehicle era to arrive. Qin Ran suspected that Porsche had planned to revive the Jiangnan factory and launch electric cars once the success of the small displacement electric vehicle market was proven, especially with the popularity of the 5-Ling Mini. Porsche's upper management had realized that small displacement electric vehicles could also be a hit, which is likely why they were considering investing in upgrading the production lines. Furthermore, Porsche's current production capacity was insufficient, and the electric cars they were producing often didn't meet quality standards. They lacked vents, and dealers had lodged complaints, adding to the mess. Given this situation, Porsche wasn't in the mood to improve the Jiangnan Auto Factory. After all, Porsche's initial acquisition of the Jiangnan Auto Factory was primarily to obtain car manufacturing qualifications. No one wanted to engage in a loss-making deal, especially a group of sharp business minds. Back at the hotel, Qin Ran pondered whether he should return to Zhonghai. Originally, his plan was to visit first and decide later. But now that the visit was over, even if he were to acquire Jiangnan Auto Factory, his team could handle the evaluation and negotiations. He didn't need to be personally involved in every step. However, after seeing BYD's parked electric cars at the factory, he changed his mind. As long as someone was making electric cars, it was impossible to avoid this company. After a moment of contemplation, Qin Ran called Liu Ruyuan, asking him to help get an identity for him so that he could visit BYD's factory. It would also be useful if he could get some information on BYD's car manufacturing. Liu Ruyuan confirmed it was no problem and assured him it would be done by today. Qin Ran made some simple notes and analyses about what he had seen today. It's often said that a good memory can't beat a poor pen. He received an invitation from Wang Kaidong for dinner and karaoke, but Qin Ran declined, as he was leaving Star City tonight. Wang Kaidong expressed regret, saying they could experience Star City's entertainment next time, and that Qin Ran could contact him anytime. It was implied, of course, that karaoke would include company. Qin Ran wasn't interested. He could easily find someone to accompany him whenever he wanted. As night fell, Qin Ran visited a nearby night market, bought some snacks, and took a picture to send to Lin Wanbai. He had recently discovered that she had a bit of a sweet tooth. It was both a share and a little temptation. Chances were, he'd be back in Star City a few more times, and if he could bring Lin Wanbai along, no, take her here, that would be great. They could wander around, eat, and take a little train ride together. Li Huachuan worked efficiently. By 8 p.m., he had sent the materials and secured an identity for Qin Ran. Tomorrow, Qin Ran could directly visit BYD's factory, and the contact details had been sent to his phone. Qin Ran didn't linger outside and returned to his hotel room. Interestingly, a well-dressed girl in a dress approached him in the lobby to ask for directions to the guest room elevator. The girl clearly didn't mistake him for a hotel staff member. She was there to provide services at the hotel. This was common in many star-rated hotels, where such services are often outsourced. When they entered the elevator, the girl purposely stood close to Qin Ran. The fragrance of her perfume filled the elevator, and when he pressed the elevator button, he caught a glimpse of the girl's snow-white chest. As the elevator doors closed, he could see her smiling face reflected in the polished surface. Qin Ran kept his gaze straight ahead, unaffected by her presence. Even when she extended her hand to touch his as he pressed the button, he remained uninterested. He wasn't fooled by such attempts at being the prey. His suite was on a higher floor, and before she left, the girl gave him a lingering glance. Some people, even without money, could afford to behave in such a manner. It was a minor incident that hardly impacted Qin Ran. Back in his room, Qin Ran began reviewing the materials Li Huachuan had sent. BYD had 3 factories in Star City. One produced cars, another made phones and masks, and the third focused on battery production. BYD had launched its first pure electric vehicle in 2009, although it hadn't gained much traction in the past years. Despite that, the company's annual investments in electric vehicles hadn't been small. In 2008, BYD received a major investment. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway bought 225 million shares of BYD at $8 per share, amounting to 10% of the company. This investment would yield returns more than 20 times over in the future. Investing in BYD was a good choice, but the return period was too long. Qin Ran decided to go his own way. With the backing of the Qin Group, he had the qualifications to enter the new energy vehicle sector and grab a share of the pie. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. After visiting BYD's factory tomorrow, he would move quickly to acquire Jiangnan Auto Factory and upgrade its production lines. Besides BYD, another giant in the electric vehicle world was unavoidable, the rocket-building car brand. Next year, they would launch the Falcon 9 and complete its recovery. Qin Ran considered whether he should fly to the US to meet Musk, who was planning to announce his Mars immigration plans in a year. He didn't hesitate for long and quickly made his decision. The next day, Li Huachuan delivered a big surprise. Chapter 135. Getting down to business, scheduling negotiations. The next day, Qin Ran received a call from Li Huachuan early in the morning. Elon Musk was coming to China this month for the domestic launch of Autopilot 7.0. Li Huachuan offered to arrange a meeting if Qin Ran needed it. Since Qin Ran was planning to get into electric vehicles, of course he needed to meet with Musk and have a good chat. 2 years ago, Tesla had released its patent for electric vehicle charging stations. Last year, they had released hundreds more patents, covering areas such as comprehensive EV control, battery cell and pack technology, and multi-power source application technology, among others. There was a lot of technology they could use in electric vehicle production. However, some core technologies were still kept under wraps by Tesla. If he could talk with Musk and collaborate more deeply, it would be extremely beneficial to their car manufacturing plan. This time, however, he would definitely have to use the Qin Group's identity. Qin Ran knew that Musk wanted to build a gigafactory in Zhonghai in the future. He might even have that idea now. In Zhonghai, the Qin Group wielded unimaginable power. Qin Ran had enough chips to negotiate with Musk. Without any hesitation, Qin Ran told Li Huachuan to arrange a meeting with Musk as soon as possible. He had a feeling that this meeting would bring unexpected benefits. Around 9 o'clock, Qin Ran boarded the hotel's private car and headed to BYD's car factory. At this time, most of the new automotive companies had yet to emerge. Total annual sales were less than 400,000 units, and many of those were not to individual consumers. However, BYD's new energy vehicle sales had already exceeded 50,000, and with just over a month remaining in the year, they should be able to reach more than 60,000. That would account for about 1/6 of the total new energy vehicle sales in China. Qin Ran had done a lot of research recently. New energy vehicles were mainly being driven by government initiatives, with most sales coming from first-tier cities, especially those with license plate restrictions. It was difficult to get a license plate for a gasoline car, so the policies for new energy vehicle plates were attracting customers. The paradox was that parking spaces were expensive in first-tier cities, and installing charging stations was difficult. Combined with the immaturity of the technology, most people were still in a wait-and-see mode. However, Qin Ran knew the future development trend of new energy vehicles. He also knew that BYD's sales would reach a terrifying level in a few years. Millions of vehicles sold, with explosive growth. Qin Ran spent half a day touring the factory, and the results were beyond his expectations. They had pioneered an 800V high-voltage platform, enabling acceleration to 100 km per hour in as little as 4 seconds, a pure electric range of 450 kilometers, and a fast-charging power boosted to 60 kilowatts. They had achieved a 15-minute fast charge for 350 kilometers. They had also pioneered a full-scene intelligent pulse self-heating technology, where the battery heating rate could increase by 230% and the charging time could be reduced by 30% under extreme cold conditions of minus 30 degrees Celsius. Of course, these were theoretical figures, and the actual performance would surely vary. Looking at it with the hindsight of the future, it seemed pretty ordinary. China was still in the early stages of new energy vehicle development. Charging technology, charging infrastructure, and charging standards all had their shortcomings. But it couldn't be denied that BYD was doing a very good job in terms of innovation. Their dual-gun supercharging technology could turn a public fast-charging station into a supercharging station. Qin Ran was very interested in this technology. He remembered an interesting incident where several cars were charging at a public charging station, and BYDs could steal power. Once the BYD vehicle was unplugged, the other two vehicles' charging power would increase. Qin Ran's trip to Star City had been fruitful. Combined with the information Liu Ruyuan had provided, he had gained a thorough understanding of the current state of the new energy vehicle industry. After visiting the BYD factory, Qin Ran flew back to Zhonghai that same evening. Elon Musk would not be attending the launch event in Beijing for a few more days. Autonomous driving was also an important future direction for EV development. Qin Ran pondered whether it was better to collaborate with Huawei on intelligent driving or develop it himself. He wouldn't consider Tesla's FSD at all. It was unlikely to be implemented in the next decade. The data security aspect was too tightly controlled. For example, a certain ride-hailing platform had leaked user data when trying to go public in the US. Things like user personal information and travel records, reaching up to billions of pieces of information. Later, after the evidence was confirmed, they were fined $8 billion. As to why it was delisted but not shut down, there were many factors, and it was hard to say. In short, it was impossible for Tesla to implement FSD in the short term. Even if it was opened up in the distant future, it would probably only cover small areas. Those in the know understood that some sensitive areas didn't allow the use of Apple phones or the parking of Tesla vehicles. However, it wasn't as if there was no solution. By collaborating with a local brand, one could obtain road data and lane navigation systems, and the data analysis wouldn't have to be sent back to the US. But this would require Tesla to compromise, and the investment would be significant. The Qin Group just happened to have that capability. Qin Ran held a lot of chips in his hand, and he was looking forward to meeting Elon Musk. After returning to Zhonghai, Qin Ran booked a flight to Beijing for next week. He would go to the launch event and see what was going on, and he would also pay attention to the autonomous driving technology. While still on campus, Qin Ran remotely directed the group's team to assess the Jiangnan Auto Factory. He would show up for the negotiations later on. It has to be said, college campus life was completely different from the outside world. Even though college was considered a small society, it was still incomparable. Qin Ran enjoyed the tranquility of campus life, where he didn't need to think too much. 2 days away hadn't brought much change. Liu Ruyuan had been tricked again, but it was none of his business. Chen Hui had been released and had reunited with Jiboqing. Someone was monitoring the two of them, so Qin Ran didn't need to worry. Many things didn't require Qin Ran to personally take action. Jiboqing had never understood this, thinking that his only gap with Qin Ran was in family background and wealth. Jiboqing didn't even know that Chen Hui had pocketed all the money he had given him last time. But now that the Ji family was finished, was the penniless eldest brother still an eldest brother? If Jiboqing still wanted to take revenge on Qin Ran, he might have to sell his blood like Wang Feifei did. It was okay if it just remained a thought. But as soon as they took action, prison would be their future home. They already had criminal records and were still so restless. It wouldn't be hard to put them back in. The only thing that surprised Qin Ran a little was Wang Feifei. He had actually come up with some clever ideas recently. Wang Feifei had given his family an idea that had earned them a fortune. The unwanted illegitimate son was finally allowed into the family. But his treatment hadn't improved much. He got a little more pocket money, but his identity still couldn't be made public. It seemed like he was starting to get a big head after achieving a bit of success. Qin Ran was busy acquiring the Jiangnan Auto Factory and entering the new energy vehicle market. Suddenly a fly had come buzzing around. Qin Ran, who had already effortlessly crushed the Ji family, didn't really mind acquiring Wang's family assets. Chapter 136. Giving money face-to-face. Deliberate sarcasm. Wang Feifei had always been planning to take over his family's assets. But he knew he couldn't do it forcefully, so he subtly gave his father an idea to showcase his business acumen and improve his status in the family. The Wang family mainly dealt with two areas: foreign trade and maternal and baby products. The two-child policy would be fully implemented in just over a month, ushering in the second-child era. Sales of maternal and baby products had recently soared, especially for overseas products. Wang Feifei suggested that his father should quickly take their products for a spin overseas before bringing them back. In reality, this wasn't a new tactic. Years ago, many people had registered foreign brands, advertised, and promoted the idea that imported products were better. The effects of the melamine milk scandal were still strong, causing many people to distrust domestic milk powder. Although Wang Feifei's idea was old-fashioned, it was indeed effective. A certain e-commerce giant had launched a global shopping platform, and the Wang family sales over the past week were comparable to the past 3 months. Wang Feifei received a reward of 100,000 yuan from his father. Logically, Wang Feifei shouldn't have taken it, because his goal wasn't just a little money. He had grander plans. He wanted the entire Wang family's assets. However, he still took the money and acted flattered and extremely happy. He wanted his stepmother to think that he wasn't ambitious at all, that he was content with a small, petty gain. But Wang Feifei was naturally not content. 100,000 yuan was indeed a lot for the average person. But if it hadn't been for his suggestion, how could the family have made so much, all while avoiding risk? That 100,000 was only 1% of their sales revenue. Still, Wang Feifei was very proud of himself. Money was a small thing. The key was that he had successfully increased the value of his words. At least he wouldn't be looked down on so much when he went home, and he would have more opportunities to have his voice heard in the future. Wang Feifei kept 20,000 yuan to repay his loans. The constant reminder text messages and phone calls had been driving him crazy. He wasn't in a hurry to repay the rest. Wang Feifei withdrew it all, planning to give it to Liu Ruyuan. A few days ago, Liu Ruyuan had asked him for money again. At first, Wang Feifei was very eager to know where Liu Ruyuan had spent all that money. But he didn't care much anymore. The more money Liu Ruyuan owed him, the harder it would be for her to repay, and the more favors she would owe him. If Liu Ruyuan's attitude remained the same, Wang Feifei planned to change his approach. But he didn't want to use a semi-coercive method unless absolutely necessary. He genuinely loved Liu Ruyuan. Otherwise, with the amount of money he had lent her, he could be playing around with so many college girls. Moreover, Wang Feifei knew Liu Ruyuan's family background. She could afford tens of thousands. But given Liu Ruyuan's personality, she probably wouldn't ask her family. She was keeping it a secret from even him, her friend. So Liu Ruyuan must not have told her family. It was a double delight. Beauty and family fortune were both beckoning to him, and Wang Feifei was in a great mood. But this time, he didn't transfer the money directly. Instead, he made an appointment to withdraw cash. The numbers on the screen didn't have the same visual impact as cash. Wang Feifei wanted to make Liu Ruyuan understand one thing. 80,000 yuan was not a small sum, and he had lent her far more than just 80,000. The weight of 80,000 yuan in cash was heavier than the number on an 80,000 yuan transfer. Not only that, but he also wanted to give Liu Ruyuan the money in front of Qin Ran. Qin Ran wouldn't lend her a single penny. He, on the other hand, was lending her money again and again. Who was truly sincere to her? Wasn't it obvious? Who should she choose? It was already very clear. Wang Feifei walked into the classroom carrying a black plastic bag from the bank and sat directly at the desk next to Qin Ran. As soon as Liu Ruyuan entered the classroom, Wang Feifei called out, "Ruyuan, over here." Liu Ruyuan hadn't yet recovered from the series of setbacks she had suffered. She only glanced at Wang Feifei before walking expressionlessly to the other side of the room to sit down. She didn't want to talk to anyone at the moment. Last night, she had asked her father for money and, unsurprisingly, had been turned down. Now, Her only hope was to repair her relationship with Qin Ran on his birthday. Qin Ran's birthday was coming up soon, so Liu Ruyuan naturally wouldn't do anything to stir things up. She wasn't unaware of the animosity between Wang Feifei and Qin Ran. Liu Ruyuan felt exhausted, both physically and mentally. She didn't want to do everything herself anymore. Her mother was right. Marrying into a wealthy family was the best and most convenient way. When Wang Feifei saw Liu Ruyuan ignoring him, he felt a bit angry. He had made a special trip to withdraw cash, and he had taken out a large portion of his reward this time. But Liu Ruyuan was still so indifferent. But despite the resentment he felt, Wang Feifei still maintained a smile on his face. "Ruyuan, I brought you breakfast, it's what you wanted." Fu Qingchuan whispered to Qin Ran. This simp is beyond saving. Although Fu Qingchuan's voice wasn't loud, how could Wang Feifei at the next table not hear him? Wang Feifei rolled his eyes. The only visible part was the whites. Fu Qingchuan shivered. He rolled his eyes better than any girl, too girly. Liu Ruyuan didn't react at first, and remained completely unmoved. But then, remembering that Wang Feifei had said, "It's what you wanted," rather than what you wanted to eat. What did she want? A few days ago, she had talked to Wang Feifei about borrowing money, and he had said that he would think of a solution. Liu Ruyuan hesitated for a moment before getting up and walking to Wang Feifei. "What did you say just now?" Wang Feifei took out the plastic bag. "Sit down and we'll talk." Liu Ruyuan's eyes lit up, and she sat down. Ahem. Wang Feifei cleared his throat, deliberately trying to get Qin Ran's attention. Then he opened the bag, revealing a glimpse of red. He could clearly hide it, but Wang Feifei made a point of leaning back slightly so that Qin Ran could see it. Liu Ruyuan exclaimed in surprise, "So much? I just got it from my family, it's all for you." "Thank you, Feifei. Why be so polite to me? We've known each other for so many years, I wouldn't be as heartless as some people." How could Liu Ruyuan not know that Wang Feifei was using sarcasm towards Qin Ran? But she was holding a plastic bag full of money. And what Wang Feifei said wasn't wrong. They had known each other for so many years, yet Qin Ran was so cold-hearted. He knew she was in trouble and struggling, but he wouldn't even care about her. Qin Ran was sitting next to them, and he took in their expressions. But he didn't say a single word. Wang Feifei had always been like this, occasionally being sarcastic and sowing discord. But since he no longer had any relationship with Liu Ruyuan, it didn't matter to him anymore. Wang Feifei could lend money to Liu Ruyuan. He was happy to throw money down the drain. What did that have to do with him? Qin Ran's lack of reaction made Wang Feifei feel like his fist had hit a cotton wall. Liu Ruyuan fell silent and pressed her lips together without saying a word. She wasn't really stupid. She had received Wang Feifei's money in front of Qin Ran and didn't refute Wang Feifei's sarcastic comments. It seemed as if she and Wang Feifei were standing against Qin Ran. But Liu Ruyuan really did feel resentment towards Qin Ran in her heart. If it weren't for Qin Ran's change of heart, how could things have turned out like this today? Liu Ruyuan tightly gripped the black plastic bag. No matter what, she would use this money to achieve something. Chapter 137. A gift for myself? Liu Ruyuan held the money that Wang Feifei had given her, but her gaze remained fixed on Qin Ran. In truth, she didn't want to take the money in front of Qin Ran. She wasn't blind to the fact that Wang Feifei was doing this on purpose. After all, he could have transferred the money. So why did he have to withdraw it? And why did he have to sit at the desk next to Qin Ran? Back in middle school, she probably wouldn't have noticed. But after experiencing a series of events, she had learned to see many details that she had never paid attention to before. But she still took the money in the end. Firstly, she needed that 80,000 yuan to find another software development company. Secondly, her subconscious wanted Qin Ran to see this scene. Perhaps Qin Ran would take the initiative to ask what was going on. Whether she needed money, whether there was anything he could do to help. That way, it would prove that she still held a place in Qin Ran's heart. Unfortunately, she was disappointed. Qin Ran only glanced at her calmly, without saying a single word. He didn't even care about the reason why she was borrowing money. Liu Ruyuan's happy smile quickly faded, and finally her heart sank to the bottom. He had really changed. Liu Ruyuan stared intently at Qin Ran, wanting to ask, "Where did the old you go? Why have you become like this?" But she didn't ask. The bell rang. With 80,000 yuan in her drawer, Liu Ruyuan had no joy. Wang Feifei was delighted to sit at the same table as Liu Ruyuan. He had never been so happy before. After all, he had finally gotten this opportunity to surpass Qin Ran. He sensed Liu Ruyuan's disappointment. She took the money but wasn't happy. It could only be because of Qin Ran. Wang Feifei didn't resent Liu Ruyuan, but blamed Qin Ran more. After 2 lessons, Wang Feifei had no intention of listening to the class. After class, Qin Ran went to lunch with Fu Qingchuan and the others. The group had already dispatched a professional team to assess the Jiangnan Auto Factory. They would give their assessment results in 1 to 2 weeks, and Qin Ran would also be involved in the later negotiations. Qin Ran believed that Porsche would be willing to sell the Jiangnan Auto Factory. After all, Porsche's acquisition of the Jiangnan Auto Factory had only been for the car manufacturing license. Now that Porsche had more than one car manufacturing license, the sales of cars produced by the Jiangnan Auto Factory were abysmal. The cost of retrofitting the production line was too high. For Porsche, the Jiangnan Auto Factory was a burden. It was tasteless to eat, but too bad to throw away. Apart from acquiring the Jiangnan Auto Factory to get a manufacturing license, Qin Ran also needed manufacturing technology. Elon Musk was going to Beijing for the launch event, so that was a great opportunity. Acquiring the Jiangnan Auto Factory alone was far from enough. Otherwise, it would easily be criticized. Many people would say that the predecessor of this company produced low-end cars. If they can't even make a good car, will changing the name make a difference? If they could obtain the patent technology that Musk would release 3 years later, as well as recruit some talent and develop their own manufacturing patent technology, then they would be able to go far. Musk was going to Beijing for an intelligent driving launch event. Automotive chips and intelligent driving also needed to be developed, or they could find someone to collaborate with. Tesla's FSD was obviously unusable. Qin Ran preferred to work with someone. Chip development required too much investment, and the barrier to entry was high. Car manufacturing wasn't about doing everything yourself. Many were just assembly plants. Qin Ran already had a rough plan in mind. He wanted to acquire Tesla's manufacturing technology as much as possible, and then collaborate with a domestic chip giant. He had to grab all 3: car manufacturing license, manufacturing technology, and car chips. After getting a reply from Liu Ruyuan, Qin Ran decided to go to Beijing. He would go to the launch event and see what was going on, and then he would chat with Musk. Getting tickets was easy. Getting a meeting with Musk would be slightly more difficult, but it was also doable. Also, he would go to Tsinghua and Peking University to take a look around. Just last year, Huawei's 2012 labs had established the Vehicle Network Laboratory Project, which specialized in research into the vehicle network domain. Huawei had only been researching it for about a year, so it probably wasn't very mature yet. In the previous life, Huawei would only begin to collaborate with Tsinghua University in the joint development of autonomous vehicles 2 years later. The research capabilities of Tsinghua University were beyond doubt. Qin Ran could help to bring them together, but he needed to go and understand it first. With Huawei's strength and status, they must have already collaborated with Tsinghua and other universities. But they hadn't started to collaborate in the field of autonomous vehicles yet. If the collaboration didn't pan out later, then he would have another backup plan. With the Qin Group's power, it wouldn't be difficult to find a chip company to collaborate with. But the appeal and influence would definitely not be as good as Huawei. Qin Ran spent his free time researching relevant materials. Initially, he had enjoyed the leisurely university life. But if he really did nothing all day, he would find it a bit boring. So he had given himself something to do. The leisure time he had in between his busy schedule was the most relaxing and enjoyable. He would strive to manufacture the first car before he graduated from college. It would be both a graduation gift for himself, and it would also be a new track for the Qin Group. That night, while Qin Ran was searching for alternative chip companies, he suddenly received a message from Liu Yafei. Chapter 138. Thinking too simply, increasingly short on cash. Liu Yafei's message was concise, just 2 words. Done. She didn't specify what was done, but Qin Ran knew what Liu Yafei was referring to. Congratulations. Qin Ran also sent a thumbs-up emoji. Liu Yafei replied with a grinning face emoji. Is it your birthday soon? How do you know? Secret. Is there anything you'd like as a gift? A blessing is enough. Okay, I can't afford anything expensive anyway. Qin Ran chuckled to himself. They only exchanged a few sentences before stopping, but somehow, their relationship seemed to have grown a bit closer. Liu Yafei put down her phone and pulled the curtains closed. The original transparent mosquito net had been replaced with a light blue bed curtain. With the curtain drawn, she could have her own little world in the dormitory. Liu Yafei could paint as she pleased. She had already extracted Qin Ran's birthday from Liu Ruyuan. In addition, she planned to make a slight change to the content of the painting. So, the delivery time would be 2 days later than originally planned. But it would definitely be done on time. After all, they were at the same university. No express delivery was needed. Originally, there were supposed to be 2 people in the painting, But now there was only one. Liu Ruyuan would probably be very angry when she saw it. But in the end, she would probably still give it to Qin Ran. Liu Fei put on her headphones and focused on her painting. The hustle and bustle of the outside world couldn't affect her in the slightest. Since the last rejection, Liu Ruyuan hadn't spoken to Liu Yifei again. With the 80,000 yuan from Wang Feifei, she had found another online company. This time, at least they weren't scammers. This online company was the one she had asked about whether the source code was charged. Their professionalism was top-notch, and their prices were also reasonable. All 80,000 yuan went into that. But she had also learned one thing. To meet her requirements, the annual leasing cost of the server would be very high. The more users, the more content uploaded, the higher the cost. If she didn't rent a server, she could also choose to build her own data center. But the initial investment could be as high as several million, or even hundreds of millions. Liu Ruyuan then realized that she had been tricked again. Future Network Technology, the first company still developing software, told her that the developed software was enough to meet her needs. But the new online company's customer service clearly told her that this was impossible. Not to mention daily active users in the hundreds of millions. Even with daily active users in the tens of millions, the server cost would be more than a few $100,000. And this was a continuous expense, not a one-off thing. The more users they added, the more cost would increase. In other words, 80,000 yuan was far from enough. The previous 8 million yuan was barely enough. Liu Ruyuan was once again short on cash. And it wasn't a small amount of money, but a large sum. Even a lottery win of 5 million wouldn't be enough. Liu Ruyuan wasn't willing to give up Douyin, a project with a future market value of trillions, so she set her sights on the house her father was using to keep his mistress. Unless Wang Feifei became the head of the Wang family, there was no way she could come up with such a large amount of money. She had been worried about 100,000 yuan before, but now she wasn't so concerned. Liu Ruyuan decided to have a good talk with her father. Short videos were the trend. Seize the opportunity, and if you stand on top of the wave, even a pig can fly. After finishing her classes in the afternoon, Liu Ruyuan went home. She had called her father in advance, stating that she must go home tonight, as she had something important to discuss. Liu Haicheng had a dinner engagement, but after receiving the call, he canceled it and rushed home. Liu Haicheng had thought it was related to the Qin family, so the dinner engagement no longer seemed as important. When Liu Ruyuan arrived home, the cooking aunt had already prepared a table full of dishes. Liu Qiulan sent the aunt home after she had prepared the dishes. Tonight's family dinner was not suitable for outsiders to know. Although Liu Qiulan had told the cooking aunt that they were all family, how could they really be family? Seeing her daughter return, Liu Qiulan said happily, "Xiaoyan, come, wash your hands and let's eat." Sitting on the sofa, Liu Haicheng took a deep drag of his cigarette, snuffed it out, and got up to head towards the study. "Xiaoyan, come over here. Dad has something to ask you." "Oh, the food's all ready. Let's eat first. It'll get cold later." "It's okay, Mom. I'll come out after I talk to Dad for a bit." Liu Haicheng was the pillar of the family, and Liu Qiulan was just saying those things. If they really started arguing, she would be the one who suffered. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to ask Liu Haicheng for money each month. Without money, how could she go shopping, have afternoon tea with her girlfriends, or go for beauty treatments? However, Liu Qiulan had a subtle feeling that her daughter had changed a lot. Since she was hospitalized last time, her personality had changed so much, as if she had become a different person. Liu Qiulan had even asked her daughter to go for a checkup to see if there were any after effects. But she didn't know that Liu Haicheng had said he would take his daughter for a checkup just to get closer to the Qin family, and hadn't actually had her checked. Liu Qiulan also wanted to know how her daughter's relationship with the Qin family heir was going. But the father and daughter were talking in the study, excluding her. Liu Qiulan quietly walked to the door of the study, pressed her ear against the door, and eavesdropped. If she hadn't heard it, she wouldn't have known. But when she did, she was completely stunned. Liu Haicheng was keeping a mistress outside, and he even had a house for her. Liu Qiulan's blood rushed to her head instantly, her face turned red, and she immediately went to turn the doorknob to rush in and question Liu Haicheng. Chapter 139. Asking for millions, as if the family had a printing press. Liu Qiulan's hand was on the doorknob. Her knuckles were white and trembling, but she didn't open the door in the end. She didn't dare to open the door now. This door was the family's fig leaf. Once it was opened, the fig leaf would be torn off as well. In fact, Liu Qiulan hadn't been completely unaware. But she hadn't investigated it, choosing to turn a blind eye. What she didn't know she could pretend didn't happen. The reason was simple. She had chosen to marry Liu Haichang mainly because of his good financial situation. As she had wished, after marrying him, she didn't need to work and only had to be a full-time housewife. Full-time housewife wasn't even accurate. After giving birth, she went to a postpartum care center. Later on, she hired a nanny and a cook. Her life had always been very easy. But Liu Qilan also knew that she was completely dependent on Liu Haichang. If they divorced, she would only get a sum of money, and not much at that. Because many of Liu Haichang's assets were premarital property. So, even though she had noticed that Liu Haichang might have a woman outside, she hadn't investigated or questioned him. The superficial harmonious husband-wife relationship still had to be maintained, and Liu Haichang had always treated her well over the years. He hadn't cut her off for money, nor had he been violent. She was living the life of a rich wife that others envied. She couldn't bear to lose her current life, so she wouldn't open the door now, but choose to sit back on the sofa. And she would pretend that she didn't know anything. When her daughter left, she would choose a suitable time to talk to Liu Haichang. But she wouldn't make a scene with Liu Haichang. Instead, she would be even nicer to him, making him feel guilty. After being together for so many years, Liu Qilan knew her husband's personality very well. He would give her some material compensation. However, since getting to know the real high-net-worth ladies, she was no longer satisfied with the status quo. Human desires are endless. Ultimately, she was still middle class. But if her family could become in-laws with the Qin family, then they could break through the class barrier all at once. They could leap into the real upper class. Those rich ladies who didn't think much of her would all come and flatter her. Big families all cared about their reputation. If she and her husband were at odds because of the mistress, the Qin family might stop considering her family for fear of losing face. A good match is still important. Liu Qilan knew that her family was not on the same level as the Qin family, so she couldn't give them a bad impression. No matter what the consideration, she wouldn't break things off with her husband. Nor would she go to the company or go to find the mistress, making it a well-known scandal. Liu Qilan gave herself a thumbs up for her intelligence. The Qin family would probably be happy to have such understanding in-laws. However, she wouldn't let things develop in this manner. Otherwise, one day, her position might be replaced by someone else. In addition, the most important thing at the moment was her daughter's relationship with Qin Ran. Liu Qilan was a little worried. Her daughter hadn't really listened to her words. Otherwise, wouldn't it be a piece of cake to easily manipulate a man, let alone a young one? Liu Qilan couldn't wait to set an example and demonstrated herself. Now she could only wait for the father and daughter to finish their talk, and then find a chance to teach her daughter. She had heard that Qin Ran was getting very close to a girl, but she didn't care. She would also advise her daughter not to care, and to take down Qin Ran as soon as possible. That was the most important thing. Just like she was able to tolerate her husband finding a mistress. As long as she could become the young mistress of the Qin family, nothing else really mattered. Inside, Liu Haichang still didn't know that his wife had discovered his secret. He told his daughter to keep her voice down, but he still couldn't control his volume later. Because his daughter had set her eyes on his house again. Even if it was used for his mistress, that was no reason to just give it away. The house had already been listed for sale a long time ago, and people had come to look, but he hadn't sold it yet. This year, the housing market was rising, and after a few more months, it might increase in value by hundreds of thousands. By then, it would be difficult to buy. And now that it was hard to do business, investing in real estate was better than going to all that trouble. Hearing his daughter say that she wanted to start a business, Liu Haichang rejected her without even thinking. She had just lost several million recently, and she hadn't even learned her lesson yet. Money wasn't that easy to earn. She had paid several million for tuition, but still hadn't become smarter. And it wasn't as if his money came from nowhere. They weren't a wealthy family, so how could they easily take out several million? Liu Ruyuan had been a little anxious at first, but she had calmed down and was talking to her father calmly. Dad, short videos are the biggest trend right now. Can you please believe in me? I know short videos like Kuaishou. I have that on my phone. Kuaishou already exists? Liu Haichang laughed. You don't even know Kuaishou, and you say you want to make a short video platform? What I'm making has a different target audience from them. Is that still a short video? Yes, but there are no buts. I can't give you the house. I've already given you 3 million before. Liu Haichang held up 3 fingers. Do you know how hard it is to earn 3 million? I earned it in less than a month. You're still talking about that? Where's the money? You were scammed. Money in your own pocket is the only real money. Liu Haichang got more and more angry. In short, I won't give you any more money apart from your allowance. With that said, Liu Haichang stormed out of the room. Lu Qilan came forward and asked, "Why are you arguing? Go ask your precious daughter. She wants millions. As if our family had a printing press." Chapter 140, Parents Don't Support, the gift finally arrives. Lu Qilan walked into the room and saw her daughter wiping her tears, so she quickly went over to her. "Xiaoyan, what's wrong? Your dad didn't mean to yell at you." Liu Ruyuan fell into Lu Qilan's arms, sobbing, "Mom, it's really hard for me. Why don't any of you want to believe in me? I've worked so hard, why?" Lu Qilan gently patted her daughter's back. Okay, don't cry, tell Mom. I need 3 million. You should talk to your dad about that, when he's calmed down." "Mom, your mom really doesn't have that much money. How much do you have? First, tell me what you need the money for. I want to start a business." Liu Ruyuan explained her business plan again, hoping to get her mother's support. She knew her mother had saved a lot of money, and she got dividends every year. And usually all her food, clothing, and various expenses were paid for by her father. If not 3 million, she would have at least 1 million in savings. Liu Ruyuan looked at her mother with longing. "Mom, believe in me. I can definitely succeed. I have confidence." But Lu Qilan did not agree. She did have some savings, but that was what she had accumulated over the past 10 years or so. In case they divorced one day, she wouldn't be in a bad situation. After all, no one could guarantee how much of the marital property she would get. This money was like her nest egg, and nobody could touch it. Even when Lu Haichang had needed capital before, she hadn't taken it out. She certainly wouldn't take it out to start a business now. What difference was there between starting a business and throwing money down the drain? Moreover, she had recently found out the whole story of Liu Ruyuan's previous investment in cryptocurrency. Her heart was bleeding. She was such a spendthrift. But no matter what, Liu Ruyuan was her daughter. Besides, her chances of achieving a class leap depended on her daughter. There was no hope for herself, but that was impossible. Although Qin Ran was very handsome and the heir to a wealthy family, Lu Qilan dispelled the unrealistic thoughts in her head. "Xiaoyan, don't cry, listen to Mom. It's good that you have this ambition. Mom isn't against you starting a business. But didn't you just suffer a loss recently? Shouldn't you find a partner to share the risk? Like Qin Ran, you come up with ideas, and he provides the funds. The two of you can work together. Mom and Dad will definitely support you." Liu Ruyuan had been listening very carefully at first, but in the end, everything came back to the same starting point. "Mom, you said yourself, there's a risk in this. What if I lose money?" "It doesn't matter if you lose money, just treat it like paying tuition. A few million is just the cost of a sports car for him." Lu Qilan also said, "It's not that Mom doesn't want to give you the money, it's just that our family doesn't have that kind of money." Liu Ruyuan said sulkily, "Then I'll find a way myself. I'll make it happen, and make Qin Ran look at me in a new light. It's your loss if you don't support me." "Why are you talking like that? We're all family." "Then why do you keep wanting me to compromise and marry Qin Ran? How is that a compromise? If you marry into the Qin family, you'll be so glamorous, and you won't have to worry about anything for the rest of your life. Mom and Dad will benefit too. How great is that? And that child, Qin Ran, I've seen him too. His appearance is beyond words. He's a good match for you, and he's polite. What a good kid. Why don't you understand? You have to start a business on your own. No matter how capable you are, can you compare with someone from a family with a 3-generation business?" "Yes." Liu Ruyuan gritted her teeth. "If you're willing to support me, I can do it." "Mom, the potential value of the short video market is trillions." Lu Qilan shook her head helplessly. "Let's not talk about that. Listen to Mom. Mom will teach you a few tricks to make sure you can win over little Qin." "Oh, I'm not listening." Liu Ruyuan stood up, pushed her mother out of the door, and locked it. She had talked things over with her parents, but they didn't want to support her. Their words kept questioning her lack of ability. When you really thought about it, only Wang Feifei was unconditionally supporting her. Liu Ruyuan hesitated, wondering whether she should cooperate with Wang Feifei. She knew that the Wang family's assets were as high as hundreds of millions, so they could definitely take out a few million. If she missed this opportunity, she would regret it for the rest of her life. And the more others thought she couldn't do it, the more she wanted to do it. Her parents were always rushing her, which had gradually made her resistant to marrying into the Qin family. She could also live well without relying on the Qin family. As a reborn person, how could she not make money by seizing an opportunity? Liu Ruyuan made her decision and would bring Wang Feifei on board. As for Qin Ran, she would make an offer. If Qin Ran hesitated for even a second, Then she would leave and never give him another chance. 3 days later, Liu Ruyuan finally received the customized painting. These past 3 days, she had been frantically urging the seller and had even filed a complaint on their platform. She told them to hurry, but they kept delaying and delaying. If she missed today, she would definitely complain about the shop until it closed down. Luckily, she finally got the painting from the receiving room at the south gate. It was in a cardboard box, wrapped in craft paper inside, and with bubble wrap in the middle. However, Liu Ruyuan was a little puzzled that there was no waybill. If the security guard hadn't reminded her, she wouldn't have been sure if it was the painting she had customized. But regardless, it was good that the painting had arrived. She already had a plan. Taking advantage of Qin Ran's birthday today, she would give this painting as a gift. Then, she would see what Qin Ran's reaction was. If he was touched and apologized for his previous words and actions, then she would barely forgive him. Then she could take the opportunity to mention her desire to start a business, tying the two of them together even more securely. But if Qin Ran refused to accept it, then she wouldn't mention it at all. Liu Ruyuan carried the painting back to the dormitory. Just now, she had only torn off a corner to confirm if it was her painting. But she was hesitant about how she should give it to him. If she took it directly to Qin Ran, other people would inevitably see it. There was a possibility that rumors of her chasing Qin Ran would start circulating around campus tomorrow, which would have a bad impact. The craft paper was difficult to completely tear open, so she would wait until the painting was delivered. But she would take a look at the quality of the painting first. Liu Ruyuan tore open a gap, and her eyes lit up immediately. Qin Ran's face in the painting was lifelike. Even his unique calm temperament was depicted. Liu Ruyuan continued to tear it open, wanting to see how she looked in the painting. When she saw it, she was dumbfounded. Chapter 141. A battle erupts, screams, and laughter. Liu Ruyuan ripped off the remaining wrapping paper, her eyes blazing with fury. The painting depicted only Qin Ran, completely omitting her presence. She had specifically requested a portrait of the two of them together from the artist. Yet, now, only Qin Ran was on the canvas, as if she had never existed. Liu Ruyuan furiously typed a string of messages on her phone to the artist, attaching a photo of the painting. Why didn't you paint it as I requested? Did you even read what I asked for? I wanted a picture of us together. Where am I? Liu Ruyuan sent a barrage of messages, but received no response. It was as if the artist had vanished, not even bothering to reply. Liu Ruyuan forcefully suppressed her anger. There was nothing she could do now. Hiring another artist on such short notice was impossible. The result wouldn't be of good quality. Regardless, the painting at least looked pretty good, even if she was missing. It could still be given to Qin Ran as a gift. But once today, this special day, was over, she would definitely settle the score with the artist. To dare change the content of the painting without following her instructions. She didn't want a refund, but she would definitely file a complaint. Afterwards, Liu Ruyuan went to a gift shop outside the campus and purchased some gift wrapping paper, rewrapping the painting. However, she was now stumped on how to give it to Qin Ran. Her initial plan was to ask Qin Ran out for dinner and then surprise him with the gift. This would hopefully touch his heart and allow them to reconcile. Liu Ruyuan tried to contact Qin Ran, but unsurprisingly, her messages were swallowed into the void. Her number had long been blacklisted. Although her messages could still be sent, they would be intercepted. Logically, Qin Ran would be able to see these intercepted messages. Yet, she had not received a single reply. Liu Ruyuan hesitated whether to go directly to the men's dorm to find Qin Ran, but she had already been rejected twice. Once when she delivered breakfast, and then again during their formal conversation. Third time's the charm, they said, but she didn't want to be turned away a third time. In the past, she could have asked Wang Feifei for help, but that was definitely not an option anymore. She was now aware that Wang Feifei harbored feelings for her. Asking Wang Feifei to deliver a gift to Qin Ran was obviously inappropriate. After much deliberation, Liu Ruyuan came up with an idea. She would ask Qin Ran's roommate to deliver the gift. If Qin Ran was touched by the painting, he would naturally contact her. If he returned the painting, it would be a clear sign that he didn't want things to go back to the way they were. In that case, it was best that they didn't meet to avoid any awkwardness. As class monitor, Liu Ruyuan had the contact information of everyone in their class. She sent a message first to Fu Qingchuan, who was closest to Qin Ran. But after a long while, she received no response. Liu Ruyuan frowned and immediately blacklisted Fu Qingchuan. Then, she sent a message to Wen Yonglong. The latter replied. Liu Ruyuan quickly told Wen Yonglong that she had prepared a gift for Qin Ran and asked for his help in delivering it. Wen Yonglong said that they were eating outside of school and weren't in the dorm, but he would pass the message to Qin Ran. Liu Ruyuan immediately asked where they were eating and if Lin Wanbai was there. But once again, the messages went unanswered. Liu Ruyuan felt incredibly irritated. In the past, Qin Ran would invite her for his birthday, wanting to spend it with her. He would even prepare a gift for her. Throughout the year, other than their 2 birthdays, she would receive gifts on all sorts of holidays. But now, Qin Ran had his own social circle. He would go out to eat without her. Perhaps it was Lin Wanbai who was with Qin Ran blowing out the birthday candles at this very moment. At the thought of this, Liu Ruyuan was so angry that she wanted to tear the painting apart. She had gone through so much trouble preparing the gift, but Qin Ran was out celebrating his birthday with others. Liu Ruyuan returned to her dorm room only to discover that a piece of the cake she had bought was missing. Li Huihui licked her lips, her fingers still covered in frosting. Ruyuan, the cake you bought is delicious. Can I have another piece? Liu Ruyuan's face immediately darkened. She had only been out for a little while, and someone had already helped themselves to her special ordered cake. Who gave you permission to eat my cake? Li Huihui was startled. I thought you bought it for us to share. Did I say that? No, but what? Can't you control yourself? You've already gotten so fat. Can't you think for a minute before you stuff your face? Always talking about dieting. It's ridiculous. Li Huihui was stunned. Her face flushed. I'll just buy you a cake. Why are you yelling at me? Who told you to touch my things without asking? Don't you have any manners? Who are you calling mannerless? You think you're so high and mighty just because you're pretty? You're still getting dumped, aren't you? What did you say? Am I wrong? Qin Ran doesn't like you at all, but you keep throwing yourself at him. Do you know what people are saying about you? Fong Man, who was nearby, quickly stepped between the two of them. Okay, stop arguing. Hui, you shouldn't have eaten Ruyuan's things without asking. Ruyuan, you shouldn't be so angry either. Let Hui buy you another one. It's Qin Ran's birthday today. I ordered this 3 days in advance. You can't buy a comparable one from a store. What use is another cake day after tomorrow? Li Huihui muttered, they're out celebrating without you. You're just embarrassing yourself. You. Liu Ruyuan was trembling with anger. She grabbed the cake and smashed it onto Li Huihui's face. Ah! A chaotic battle erupted. In a prearranged private room at a restaurant, a group of people were singing Happy Birthday to Qin Ran, filled with joyful laughter and celebration. Chapter 142. It's not the gift, but the person that matters. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Qin Ran opened his eyes and blew out the candles. Clap, 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 clap. The crowd applauded. Fu Qingchuan asked with a smile, what did you wish for? If I tell you, it won't come true. Exactly. I bet it's related to Lin Wanbai. Oh. Lin Wanbai's face was slightly red, making her look particularly beautiful. Tong Xian interjected to break the teasing. Cut the cake. Cut the cake. The 14-inch cake was exquisite. The group had all contributed money, and Lin Wanbai had personally ordered it. Qin Ran cut the first slice for Lin Wanbai. Lin Wanbai, however, said, you're the birthday star today. You should have the first piece. The others echoed her words. However, when celebrating with a group of friends, the cake was not just for eating. As soon as Qin Ran divided the cake, he had just taken a bite when Fu Qingchuan smeared some frosting on his face. Then Huang Zujie followed suit. One after another. Qin Ran was surrounded. When Lin Wanbai tried to help, she also ended up getting a lot of frosting on her. Laughter and happy screams filled the air. It had been a long time since Qin Ran had felt this happy. He had been a little reserved initially, but eventually joined in the chaotic food fight. However, in his effort to protect Lin Wanbai, he had ended up getting smeared the worst. There was cake frosting on his face, hair, and clothes. Eventually, the food fight ended. Qin Ran and Lin Wanbai, covered in mess, shared a laugh. Let's go wash up. There was a separate bathroom in the private room, and the group squeezed into the small space, teasing one another. It was then that when Yonglong told Qin Ran about Liu Ruyuan's attempt to deliver a gift, Qin Ran shook his head. Don't worry about her. Qin Ran, who had already moved on with his life, didn't want to be dragged back into the mud. It was awkward and uncomfortable. He wasn't sure when it happened, but his birthday had turned into a chore. It was no longer a celebration for him, but an opportunity for Liu Ruyuan to plan a fancy dinner and a detailed gift. There had been 2 times he had explicitly said that he wanted to celebrate it, just the two of them. Yet, as soon as Wang Feifei spoke, Liu Ruyuan would still invite Wang Feifei to join. Qin Ran missed the old Liu Ruyuan, the one who had truly cared about him. Simple, innocent, and without any of her current drama. It was a shame that they could never return to those times. Qin Ran did not resent Liu Ruyuan. They had once shared happy times together. But their fate was over, and there was no need to continue it. Qin Ran had sensed the change in Liu Ruyuan, but it was unnecessary. Perhaps Liu Ruyuan had realized her mistakes, but it was too late. His heart had died on the day of their engagement in the previous lifetime. Therefore, even if Liu Ruyuan had changed, he would not repeat his mistakes. He had his own life. He wanted Liu Ruyuan to go on with her life too. Everyone was entitled to their own journey. Just because someone was gone didn't mean you couldn't live. Qin Ran didn't reply to Liu Ruyuan's messages. His decision would not change. As for the gift, he had no interest in it. One only cared about gifts when they cared about the person giving them. It wasn't about the monetary value, but the sentiment behind the gift. Like the two gifts he had received today. One was bought by everyone together, a pair of wireless headphones. The other one was from Lin Wanbai, a fountain pen and a pocket notebook. Lin Wanbai had noticed that he often wrote things down, so she chose the pen as a gift. Qin Ran was very happy with this gift. Whether or not someone had given it any thought was easy to discern. On the way back, Fu Qingchuan and the others tactfully left in taxis, giving Qin Ran and Lin Wanbai some time alone. After they left, Tong Xian whispered to Lin Wanbai, "Go for it. Capture him today." Chapter 143, The Brightest Star in the Night. The group had been trying to get Qin Ran and Lin Wanbai together for a while. It was a case of the emperor isn't worried, but the eunuchs are. Both dorms were anxious, especially Tong Xian. She wanted nothing more than to push the two of them together for a kiss. But neither Lin Wanbai nor Qin Ran had acknowledged the obvious, still chatting every night and attending classes as usual. It was almost the end of the semester, and still no official announcement. Tong Xian had asked Fu Qingchuan many times to convince Qin Ran to confess, nearly spelling it out for them. As long as Qin Ran confessed, Lin Wanbai would undoubtedly accept. There were many people pursuing Lin Wanbai, but she wouldn't pay any attention to them, not even giving out her contact information. Her attitude was different only when it came to Qin Ran. They would chat late into the night. What else was this if not love? It was just missing a declaration. It wasn't too late yet. Qin Ran and Lin Wanbai were walking along the street. It was already autumn, and the night air was slightly cool. Lin Wanbai suddenly asked, "Do you still like Liu Ruyuan?" Qin Ran was taken aback and shook his head. From the first day of school, Qin Ran had not displayed any feelings for Liu Ruyuan. Everyone thought that Liu Ruyuan was the one pursuing Qin Ran. In reality, only Wang Feifei knew that things were not as they seemed. Qin Ran never expected that. Lin Wanbai had seen through it too. The two of them rarely talked about Liu Ruyuan. The reason was simple. Qin Ran wanted to cut off ties with Liu Ruyuan and Wang Feifei. At most they were classmates, and there was no need to be friends. Lingering entanglements weren't Qin Ran's style. However, Lin Wanbai could tell that they had a deeper relationship than just old high school classmates. Qin Ran stopped and told Lin Wanbai the truth. "I used to like her, but that's all in the past. There's no future for me and her." Lin Wanbai nodded slightly and continued to walk. Qin Ran followed. The distance between the two of them was now closer than before. Their hands accidentally touched twice. The third time, Qin Ran grabbed Lin Wanbai's soft hand, stopping in his tracks. He decided to take the first step. "Wanbai, I like you." Oh, Lin Wanbai lowered her head. Her ears flushed a faint red. "Can you be my girlfriend?" "Yes." Lin Wanbai's voice was so soft that Qin Ran could barely hear her. Qin Ran smiled happily and intertwined their fingers. He also had feelings for Lin Wanbai. They always had so much to talk about. Thinking of her made his lips curl into a smile. After Lin Wanbai asked the earlier question, Qin Ran realized it was time to take this step. Now that he had severed ties with the past, he should begin a new life. Qin Ran held Lin Wanbai's hand as they walked from street to alley. He felt fortunate to meet someone at the best time of their life, someone who he liked and who liked him back. Qin Ran looked at Lin Wanbai's profile, a wave of tenderness washing over him. After he confessed, an invisible barrier was lifted. He was in love. Lin Wanbai felt the same way. Actually, she had also planned to confess her feelings to Qin Ran tonight. She hadn't expected Qin Ran to make the first move. These past few days, she had been wondering if this nebulous feeling was love. But the moment she asked herself the question, the answer was already clear. In this fast-paced age where love rises and falls like the wind, she wanted to take things slowly with Qin Ran. Lin Wanbai didn't crave a passionate, dramatic romance. Having a feeling of excitement and anticipation was enough. Looking forward to every meeting, every touch, and every moment together that made her heart race. Lin Wanbai gently squeezed Qin Ran's hand, responding to him. Qin Ran did the same. An unspoken aura of love spread through their touch. They looked at each other and smiled. In Qin Ran's eyes, Lin Wanbai's clear eyes were the brightest stars in the night. Chapter 144. Self-indulgent sentimentality is useless, the same signature. Qin Ran and Lin Wanbai returned to campus just before the dorm doors were locked. Liu Ruyuan had been waiting all along. She had sent a message to Wen Yonglong, who had relayed it, but also told her that it was best not to wait any longer. Wen Yonglong, as an outsider, could see things clearly. From the start of the semester, there had been a connection between the two of them. But Qin Ran clearly wanted to end it, including with Wang Feifei, whom their whole dorm disliked. Wen Yonglong didn't particularly like Liu Ruyuan, but he didn't hate her either. He simply thought she had a bad personality and was too temperamental. She was beautiful, but not at all suitable to be a girlfriend. Liu Ruyuan was like a spoiled child. If they were to get together, their daily life would not be very happy. Wen Yonglong preferred the girl-next-door type. He agreed with Qin Ran's approach, decisive, without any lingering ambiguity. But, seeing Liu Ruyuan downstairs with a square object, he guessed that the two of them were in for another unpleasant confrontation that night. What a waste, he thought. Not just Wen Yonglong, but also Huang Zujia and Fu Qingchuan nearby had the same thought. The dorms are closing soon. Are they not coming back? Maybe not, heh. Fu Qingchuan and Huang Zujia laughed. If that's the case, Liu Ruyuan's expression is going to be priceless. Should we go down and tell her that Qin Ran is staying out tonight? You go. I don't want to get hit. Along you go. I'm not going. Huang Zujia asked curiously. You guys say that Liu Ruyuan's got good qualities. It shouldn't be difficult for her to find a boyfriend. Why does she want to be with Qin Ran after all this time? You wouldn't understand. The more something is unobtainable, the more you want it. Liu Ruyuan is a very proud person. It's best if Qin Ran doesn't come back tonight. Give her a good blow. No sooner had Fu Qingchuan finished speaking than he received a message from Tong Xian. Lin Wanbai's back in the dorm. It's over. It's over. When Yonglong was already doing his weight training, his last exercise before bed, Huang Zujia had no one to hang out with, so he went back to his bed to play games. He had discovered that there were many girls playing Honor of Kings. Compared to Qin Shuwan, whose voice could make your ears bleed, he preferred cute girls and mature voices. He had heard that some of them used voice changers, but as long as it was a girl, he was fine. Liu Ruyuan had been waiting in the cold wind for nearly 2 hours. She was still unable to calm down after learning that Qin Ran had gone out to celebrate his birthday with a group of people. The Qin Ran whose eyes used to be filled with only her didn't even invite her to his birthday anymore. She had thought Qin Ran would be touched by her actions. In the past, Qin Ran would never have allowed her to wait this long. He would always arrive early and never late. It was then that Liu Ruyuan discovered how long 2 hours could be. When she finally saw Qin Ran, she didn't see a smile on his face. To be precise, Qin Ran had been smiling, but it disappeared as soon as he saw Liu Ruyuan. Qin Ran, blocked by Liu Ruyuan, asked helplessly, "Is there something you want? Is there something I want?" Liu Ruyuan suppressed her emotions. "Don't you know why I'm here waiting for you? You don't have to wait. It's your birthday today. I prepared a gift for you. Why didn't you even want to celebrate your birthday with me?" Yeah. That one simple word shattered Liu Ruyuan's defenses. "Qin Ran, you bastard." Liu Ruyuan threw down the picture frame and ran away crying. Qin Ran, who had been hit in the foot, picked up the painting. It was a picture of him. He remembered this photo. It was supposed to have been a picture of them together. In the bright streetlight, Qin Ran could see it very clearly, his eyes filled with complex emotions. Although he didn't know why Liu Ruyuan had only had a picture of him painted, he knew that they could never go back to the way they were. Qin Ran knew that this was not painted by Liu Ruyuan. He knew her painting skills very well, but giving a painting to a boy wasn't very appropriate. It would look strange whether placed on a table or a wall, unless it was painted by a girl you liked. Qin Ran hesitated for a moment and decided not to bring it back with him. He didn't want Liu Ruyuan to misunderstand, nor did he want Lin Wanbai to misunderstand. As he was about to throw it in the trash, Qin Ran noticed a small line of text in the lower right corner. It would be easy to miss if one wasn't careful. Happy birthday, Qin Ran. Feifei. Qin Ran frowned slightly. Shouldn't it be Liu Ruyuan? How could the message be wrong? Feifei, it sounds a little familiar. Suddenly, Qin Ran remembered the comic book in his dorm. The signature was also Feifei. Was it a coincidence? Chapter 145. 3 Birds with 1 Stone. Qin Ran thought for a moment, then took the painting back to the dorm. Why are you back so late? What are you holding? Qin Ran shook his head. It's nothing. Let's see. Wow, isn't that a painting of you? Don't tell us that you too went painting. Fu Qingchuan said with a heartbroken expression. You didn't even take advantage of such a good opportunity. The painting is really good. Yeah, it looks a lot like Qin Ran. Of course, it's a painting of Qin Ran. It has that feel, very similar. Qin Ran waved his hands. Have you all showered? Fu Qingchuan and Huang Zujia exchanged a look. I'll shower first. Me first. The two rushed into the bathroom. Only when Yonglong guessed who had given the painting. Although he found it a little strange that Qin Ran had accepted it, he didn't ask any further. After a few months of living together, Qin Ran was the most mature in the dorm. When Yonglong trusted that Qin Ran could handle his own relationship issues. Moreover, when it came to matters of the heart, it was best not to interfere. Qin Ran placed the picture frame flat on the table and took out the comic book from the drawer. It was indeed the same Feifei. Qin Ran sent a message to Liu Yufei. Did you paint the picture? Happy birthday. These 4 words triggered a special effect. Small cakes fell from the top of Qin Ran's phone screen. He was sure that it was Liu Yufei who had painted it, but he was puzzled. Liu Ruyuan and Liu Yufei didn't have a good relationship. They had even argued in the classroom before. Had they reconciled? In Qin Ran's mind, Liu Yufei was a unique girl who had her own opinions, whereas Liu Ruyuan was more self-centered. In middle school, if Liu Ruyuan didn't get along with a girl, she would usually stop interacting with her. Completely. Liu Ruyuan's pride was ingrained in her. She wouldn't pretend to be friendly, nor would she lower herself to maintain a relationship with a classmate or a friend. Qin Ran understood Liu Ruyuan well. It was unlikely that their relationship would have improved even if they lived in the same dorm. But girls' relationships were always fickle. Perhaps they really had reconciled. Qin Ran replied with, thank you, and went back to chatting with Lin Wanbai. What he didn't know was that Liu Ruyuan was currently going crazy arguing with Liu Yufei online. Liu Ruyuan was already very dissatisfied with the painting. On top of that, she had just had an unpleasant argument with Qin Ran. Her mood was at rock bottom. So when she returned to the dorm, she ignored everyone and began arguing with the vendor, venting all her pent-up frustration. Liu Ruyuan wrote a ton to the vendor. That they didn't follow her instructions, the painting was mediocre, and the delivery was especially slow. It wasn't long before the vendor replied, and they simply said that if she wasn't satisfied, she could return the painting, but she had to pay for postage. Liu Ruyuan was even angrier. She had to pay for the return shipping. Moreover, it wasn't about whether to return the painting or not. Liu Ruyuan furiously typed another dozen lines, then left a bad review, and complained to the customer service platform. She also requested a full refund. She didn't care about a few hundred yuan. She only wanted to annoy the vendor. But it seemed that she was the only one who was upset. The vendor only replied after a long while, flat out refusing her refund and claiming they weren't afraid of complaints. In short, they would accept the return, but she had to bear the shipping costs. They would not offer compensation. Liu Ruyuan was beside herself with rage, completely unaware that the hateful vendor was laughing at her furious reaction. Liu Yufei automatically ignored the nasty words in Liu Ruyuan's message. Anyway, she had made some money, given Qin Ran a gift, and annoyed Liu Ruyuan in the process. 3 Birds with 1 Stone. Chapter 146. No going back to the past, withered love. Although Liu Ruyuan was angry, she kept checking Qin Ran's messages. She still held on to a glimmer of hope that Qin Ran would be moved by the painting, that it would remind him of their good old days, back when they weren't together, but there was little difference. Inseparable, having fun together. To be precise, it had been 3 of them. Liu Ruyuan had originally thought that Wang Feifei was the root of the problem, but she had given up on Wang Feifei the last time and had even relayed this to Qin Ran through another person, but she was still unable to make Qin Ran turn back. Tonight, for Qin Ran's birthday, he had gone out to celebrate with Lin Wanbai and their entire dorm. Liu Ruyuan suddenly understood that Qin Ran had just fallen in love with someone else. She couldn't accept this fact. It meant that the Qin Ran who used to have eyes only for her now liked another girl. Liu Ruyuan would have rather that Qin Ran be angry with Wang Feifei than for something like this to happen. She had a vague feeling that if Qin Ran and Lin Wanbai really got together, she would lose her chance completely. Liu Ruyuan tossed and turned at night, unable to fall asleep. She would check her phone every minute. There were many boys sending her messages, asking how she was, asking her out for dinner, asking her out to watch a movie, or go out. But none of them were from Qin Ran. In the past, she had enjoyed feeling like the center of attention. But now she realized that Qin Ran was the sun. Once the sun came out, the stars and moon were dim and insignificant. Liu Ruyuan thought a lot that night, such as what she should do if she didn't get a message from Qin Ran tonight, and where she would go from here. The late night was the most emotional time, the easiest time to worry. Liu Ruyuan thought and thought, but there were no answers, because she had completely lost the initiative. The moment Qin Ran turned around and she didn't grab his hand, the result had already been decided. The next morning, when Liu Ruyuan woke up, she found that the dorm was empty. She had had insomnia the previous night, and had only fallen asleep in the early hours. She had vaguely heard some sounds, but when she closed her eyes, the entire dorm was empty when she woke up. The outside was also very quiet. Liu Ruyuan looked at her phone. It was already 9 o'clock. The first class had already ended. Liu Ruyuan did not care at all whether her absence would affect her final grades. She didn't even care about her credits or graduation certificate. She had long since gone through her student days and knew what was truly important. A graduation certificate was a stepping stone for many people, but not for her. Liu Ruyuan didn't care about her friendship with her roommates either. It didn't matter if no one called her to go to class. All she cared about was whether Qin Ran had replied to her message. But he had not. Liu Ruyuan was disappointed. She had expected this result when she hadn't received a message even after waiting until the early hours of the morning. Liu Ruyuan climbed out of bed wearily and went into the bathroom, her hair a mess. Looking at her tired reflection in the mirror, her former radiance was gone. Liu Ruyuan went to the toilet and went back to bed. She had failed. Her plan to reconcile with Qin Ran by using his birthday had failed. Liu Ruyuan no longer knew what to do. She regretted it. She regretted not being present at the engagement ceremony that day. She regretted thinking too highly of herself, thinking that Qin Ran would unconditionally tolerate whatever she did. All this talk of virtual currency, short videos, getting rich overnight, it was all for naught. Nothing could be done easily. Liu Ruyuan realized that without Qin Ran, she was nothing. Before, Qin Ran would help clean up her messes, but he wouldn't anymore. Liu Ruyuan even had suicidal thoughts. Maybe all of this was just a dream. She could wake up from this dream and go back to the past. Qin Ran was still by her side, watching her gently and quietly, a faint smile on his lips. Chapter 147. If only time could turn back. Liu Ruyuan lay in her dorm for half the day, not replying to any messages. Only when her stomach growled with hunger at noon did she reluctantly get out of bed to go to the cafeteria. Before she even reached the cafeteria, she spotted two familiar figures in the distance. Holding hands, they were heading towards the library. Liu Ruyuan's pupils dilated, her face registering disbelief. If she wasn't mistaken, it was Qin Ran and Lin Wanbai. Holding hands as they walked together, that meant they were officially together. Liu Ruyuan started running towards them, but stopped after a few steps. She didn't know what she would even say if she caught up to them. She had always held onto a sliver of hope, but at this moment, she realized she had only been deceiving herself. It wasn't some sort of strategic game of playing hard to get. It was simply that Qin Ran no longer loved her. Liu Ruyuan skipped lunch, returning to her dorm, utterly dejected. The emotional blow was far more painful than her hunger. The dorm door opened, and Fang Man and her two other roommates came in. Li Huihui had always been by Liu Ruyuan's side, but after their last argument, they'd fallen out, and Li Huihui had started sticking with Fang Man instead. As roommates who would be living together for another 3 years, Fang Man had learned to tolerate Li Huihui's constant chatter. Li Huihui had talked about Liu Ruyuan incessantly all morning. Fang Man noticed Liu Ruyuan lying on her bed. Approaching, she took a look at her. "Ruyuan, are you okay?" But Liu Ruyuan didn't answer, simply turning her back to them, clearly not wanting to speak. Fang Man didn't press further. As long as she wasn't dead, that was all that mattered. As for the tantrums and sadness, they had been happening too frequently this semester. Fang Man used to care, but she no longer wanted to invite the unpleasantness. Yet, the atmosphere in their dorm grew worse every day. If it weren't for Yu Yefei, she would have surely requested a room change. Seeing Yu Yafei getting ready to leave again, Fong Man quickly grabbed 2 books and followed her, not even calling for Li Huihui. She was tired of Li Huihui's incessant chatter, and Li Huihui didn't like the library, preferring to stay in the dorm, eating snacks and binge-watching shows. Fong Man followed Yu Yafei to the library, and that's where they saw Qin Ran and Lin Wanbai. She raised her hand, quietly greeting them. Class monitor. Qin Ran nodded slightly, acknowledging her before turning to look at Yu Yafei. They didn't speak, but Yu Yafei received Qin Ran's silent thank you. It was lunchtime, and the library was getting crowded. Perhaps because Qin Ran and Lin Wanbai radiated such a strong presence, there were several empty seats nearby. Fong Man and Yu Yafei sat down beside them. She opened her book, but her attention was drawn to Qin Ran and Lin Wanbai. When she saw their left hands intertwined, she covered her mouth in shock. Fong Man suddenly understood why Liu Ruyuan was so downcast. Excited, she poked Yu Yafei, pointing at the couple. Yu Yafei followed Fong Man's gaze, but her expression was calm, not surprised. She glanced over briefly and then went back to her sketching. Her drawing showed 2 small figures reading books while holding hands, looking exactly like Qin Ran and Lin Wanbai at that very moment. Qin Ran was unaware that he had become Yu Yafei's romantic muse. He was simply keeping Lin Wanbai company as she read. Or more accurately, he was enjoying the feeling of Lin Wanbai's soft, delicate hand in his. Qin Ran playfully tickled the palm of Lin Wanbai's hand. Lin Wanbai instinctively recoiled, but didn't pull away. Qin Ran found it amusing, and touched her again. He then noticed her delicate, petite earlobe turning a visible shade of red. She was so easily teased. Qin Ran suppressed a laugh. Lin Wanbai touched the center of Qin Ran's palm with her fingertip. They began a silent finger war. The touch of their fingertips sent currents of love between them, as they flipped not just pages of books, but pages of their own love story. Days passed. Qin Ran and Lin Wanbai's relationship progressed rapidly. They walked openly holding hands, strolling through the campus. Every time Liu Ruyuan saw them, her heart ached. She should have been the one by Qin Ran's side, not Lin Wanbai. Liu Ruyuan tried countless times to win back Qin Ran, but to no avail. She finally realized that when love is lost, it's gone forever. So, clinging to a last shred of hope, Liu Ruyuan urged the online company to develop Douyin, Chinese TikTok, as quickly as possible. During the winter break, she finally saw a prototype, but it was completely different from what she had envisioned. Liu Ruyuan demanded improvements, wanting it to meet her requirements. The company, in turn, demanded more money, claiming they needed more funds for server development to achieve the smoothness that Liu Ruyuan desired. She had to find ways to raise more money. The good news was that Wang Feifei had gained his family's recognition and some level of authority. Wang Feifei invested a substantial amount of money into Liu Ruyuan's short video project. However, to her surprise, Douyin was released early, and she discovered it was under Qin Ran's company. She had been one-upped. But the differences in technology and funding were undeniable. Liu Ruyuan had thought she was capitalizing on a trend, but she realized that some things are just not that easy. Thinking she could create something like Douyin with just a few million was a fool's dream. The short video platform was already incredibly competitive. The pioneers had already amassed hundreds of millions of users. Simply using the same name and creating a similar software was not a recipe for success. Liu Ruyuan, frustrated and enraged, went to see Qin Ran, but was turned away. Qin Ran, having acquired Jiangnan Motors, was already making moves in the new energy vehicle sector. Unable to let go, Liu Ruyuan encouraged Wang Feifei to get revenge on Qin Ran. But how could an ant move a tree? The Wang family went bankrupt. Wang Feifei became the family's disgrace. In this life, the Liu family did not even have the qualifications to be associated with the Qin family. Right after graduation, Qin Ran and Lin Wanbai got married in an unprecedented extravagant wedding. Liu Ruyuan, living in a rundown rental, ultimately chose to hang herself. Full of regret, she wished it was all just a dream, and that she could wake up back on the day she first met Qin Ran.